Chapter 1: Awareness of Self. In the broadest sense, the human predicament is this. We are sitting on a planet spinning through the vastness of outer space for just a handful of years. Earth has been here for 4.5 billion years, but each of us gets a ride of roughly 80 years, give or take. We are born onto this planet, and we will leave it when we die. That is the simple truth. What is less certain, however, is the nature of our brief time here. Life can be an incredibly exciting experience, a beautiful adventure filled with enthusiasm, passion, and inspiration. But life rarely unfolds exactly as we want it to, and if we resist what is, our experience can become quite unpleasant. Resistance creates tension and anxiety, turning life into a burden. To avoid this burden and fully embrace life, wise ones throughout the ages have taught the importance of accepting reality. It is only by accepting what is that we can work with the flow of life and create a better world. This principle is the foundation of all science, which studies reality to learn its laws and then works with them to improve our lives. A scientist cannot deny reality, but must accept it as the starting point for any endeavor. To fly, one must fully embrace the law of gravity, not deny its existence. The same is true in the spiritual realm, where teachings of surrender, acceptance, and non-resistance form the basis of a deeply spiritual life. These concepts can be difficult to grasp, but on this journey into living untethered, we will explore the sheer reasonableness of acceptance and the gifts of freedom, peace, and inner enlightenment it promises. Acceptance is best understood as non-resistance. Try as you might, you cannot make an event that has already happened not have happened. Your only choice is to accept it or resist it. Before we explore how and why you make that decision, you must first understand who it is within you that has the power to decide. You are certainly in there. You have an intuitive sense of an inner existence. That is awareness of self, the most important topic we can discuss. Since we are taking a deep dive into the spirituality of acceptance, we must begin by understanding who is doing the accepting or resisting. Let's start simply. If someone were to ask you, "Hi, are you in there?" you would never respond, "No, I'm not in here." That would be the ultimate non sequitur. If you're not in there, who responded? You are definitely in there, but what does that mean? To isolate this you, imagine being shown 3 different photographs, one after another. If you were asked, though the photos changed, was it the same you who saw all 3? You would say, of course it was the same me. From this, it is clear that the you in there is not what you look at. You are the one who is looking. The pictures changed. The you who saw them stayed the same. While it's easy to see we are not the photographs we look at, we identify more strongly with other objects, especially our own bodies. We say, "I'm a 43-year-old woman who is 5'6". But is that really who you are in there? Or is the body something that you are aware of? Consider your hand. You can see your hand. Now imagine it was cut off. Setting aside the pain, would you still be there? You would notice that your hand was gone. Just like with the photographs, what you were looking at changed, but the you in there who sees did not change. Your body is just another thing you see. The question remains, who is in there doing the seeing? You don't have to imagine losing a limb to realize you are not your body. A much simpler, more intuitive way is to notice how your body has changed throughout your life. It didn't look the same at age 3 as it did at 20 or 50, and it won't look the same at 80. But isn't it the same you looking at it through all those years? When you looked in the mirror at 10 years old, you didn't see what you see now, but wasn't it the same you looking then as now? You have been in there the whole time. That is the core of what we are discussing. Who are you? Who is in there, looking out through your eyes? Just as you were not the photos, but the one looking at them, when you look in the mirror, you are not what you see. You are the one who sees it. Little by little, we are revealing the nature of self. Your relationship to the world is always one of subject-object. You are the subject, and what you are looking at is the object. Many different objects come in through your senses, but there is only one subject experiencing them: you. Having established this fundamental distinction, that there is an inner subject, an awareness of self, that is distinct from the objects it perceives, we can begin to examine the relationship between the two. This constant, unchanging observer is the one who experiences the world, including the body it inhabits and the events of a lifetime. The journey ahead lies in understanding how this self interacts with the world, why it so often chooses to resist reality, and how, through the simple act of acceptance, it can find freedom from the burden that resistance creates. Chapter 2: The Conscious Receiver. Once you recognize that you're in there, you will begin to notice how objects around you tend to distract your consciousness. A dog barks, someone enters the room, you smell coffee brewing, and your awareness is drawn away from its center. On a daily basis, you are so distracted by the external world that you rarely remain centered on you, the conscious receiver of these objects. It is worth taking a moment to examine the real relationship between this conscious receiver and the objects by which it is distracted. Scientifically speaking, you are not even looking at the outer objects directly. What is actually happening is that rays of light are bouncing off the molecules of those objects, hitting the photoreceptors in your eyes, and being transmitted as messages through your nervous system. These messages are then rendered in your mind as an image. You are actually seeing the objects inside, not outside. We are slowly peeling back the layers of the onion to see what it is like to be you. And it is clear that things are not what they appear to be. It is as though you are sitting inside yourself, looking at a mental flat-screen monitor that is imaging the world. You are not the object you are looking at. You are not even looking at the actual object itself. If you trace this process back, the question becomes, who am I in here, looking at a mental image of what is in front of me? A great saint from India, the enlightened master Ramana Maharshi, followed a spiritual path that consisted of persistently asking in every moment, who sees when I see? Who hears when I hear? Who feels when I feel? The entire spiritual journey is about realizing you are the self. As is said in a Judeo-Christian sense, you don't have a soul. The consciousness in there, the you, is the soul. Thus, who are you? Becomes the quintessential question. You cannot free yourself until you understand who it is that is bound, just as you cannot understand acceptance until you understand who is resisting. Let's continue this exploration of self. When you were young, you looked in the mirror and saw one reflection. Later in life, you saw a very different one. From this perspective, how old are you? Not your body, but the you in there looking out through those eyes. If you were there at age 10, and you will be there on your deathbed, what age are you in there? Let this question touch you at a deep level, without rushing to an answer. Are you willing to let go of traditional concepts about your age? Now imagine another experiment. You're looking in the mirror, and suddenly the male or female body you see reflected there changes. If you were a male, you now see a female. If you were a female, you now see a male. Would it still be the same you in there looking at that body? It would be the same consciousness, the same you having the experience. So what gender are you in there? The you in there, which has no body parts, cannot have a gender. It is simply aware that the body it is looking at has a certain form, which may be male or female, but the one who notices is neither. The question remains, who are you? The awareness that intuitively knows you're in there. Your body has an age and a gender, but these concepts are irrelevant to the one who notices. The same is true of race. Your skin has a color, but the consciousness that perceives it has no color at all. You are not your body. You are the one who notices its characteristics. You are the conscious awareness within, looking at all of this. Are you willing to let go of who you thought you were? Because who you thought you were is not who you are. The same inner being looks at your body, your house, your car. You are the subject. All the rest are objects of consciousness. Let's turn to something a little lighter, dreams. At night you go to sleep, and in the morning you say, I had a dream. How do you know? You were in there experiencing it. The same you who looks through your eyes and sees the outer world was experiencing the events of the dream. There is only one conscious being in there, and you intuitively use the word I to describe your experiences in both worlds. In the ancient yogic text, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, it is said that in deep, dreamless sleep, it is not that you are unconscious, but that you are conscious of nothing. You are always conscious in there. Even people who are knocked unconscious or fall into a coma often come back and tell of their experiences. Medically, being conscious refers to an awareness of our external surroundings. But the question of whether the you in there is consciously aware of anything is another story altogether. You're always conscious. You're aware of whatever you focus on, internally or externally. Who are you? Who is that consciously aware entity inside? This distinction between the ever-present, unchanging self and the transient world it experiences is the key to understanding the nature of your own being. The you that looks out from behind your eyes is not defined by the body's age, its gender, or the color of its skin. It is not even defined by the state of being awake or asleep, conscious or unconscious in the medical sense. This awareness is the constant, the one who witnesses everything. Realizing this truth is the first step toward understanding who it is that resists reality and ultimately who it is that has the power to accept it. Living inside, we are back to the most basic truths of your life. You're in there, you know that you're in there, and you've been in there all along. Having recognized this constant awareness within, this unchanging self, we arrive at some interesting questions. For instance, when the body dies, will you still be aware of being? Don't get excited. We are not going to answer that for you. Eventually, however, there will be someone who provides that answer. You. You are guaranteed to personally find out someday whether you will be there after the body dies. This is why it is curious that people have so much trouble with death. It is truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and it is what's waiting for you at the end of your life. After that final moment, one of two things will happen. Either you will be there or you will not. If you're not there, there is no need to worry. It won't be a case of, oh my God, I'm not here. I don't like this. You simply won't be there, so it won't be a problem. The other alternative is far more interesting. What if you are there? Then you will get to find out what it's like to explore a whole other universe without even having a body. Let's not dwell on this further as it touches upon people's deeply held beliefs, but simply let it stand as the ultimate once-in-a-lifetime experience to look forward to. The reason some people have so much trouble with death is that they identify with their bodies. They also identify with their cars and their houses, projecting their sense of self onto things that are not their self. This projection creates a fear of losing those things. As you progress in your inner growth, you will cease to identify with these outer objects and instead identify with the deeper sense of self within. Now that it is clear that you're in there, it becomes reasonable to ask, what do you do in there? And more importantly, what's it like in there? If people answered honestly, most would admit that it's not always so much fun in there. Sometimes it's downright tough. This is where we begin a real, honest discussion about inner growth. Most people do not realize that it can always be nice in there. Think of the nicest it has ever been for you. Holding your first child, your wedding day, winning the lottery. Now imagine that state increased multifold, becoming that way all the time and always getting higher. That is what you are capable of experiencing inside. It is really beautiful in there, but something is messing it up. Imagine a beautiful house that has been neglected, now covered in dirt, banana peels, and pizza crusts. It can be beautiful again, but some work needs to be done. This is the situation inside you, and it is why we are on this journey of inner exploration. Everybody wants the same thing, for it to be nice in there. People do all kinds of things trying to achieve this. They run around seeking exciting experiences, fulfilling relationships, or they take the edge off with drinking and drugs, all for the same reason. The problem is they are approaching the issue from the wrong direction. They are asking how to make it nice in there, when the more relevant question is, why is it not nice? If you can find out what is messing it up and get rid of that, you will discover just how nice it can be. Life does not have to be a game of seeking external things to compensate for an unpleasant inner state. Yet that is what everybody is doing. They are trying to find people, places, and things in the outside world to make it more comfortable inside. People are trying to use the outside to fix the inside, when it would be better to find out why it's not nice inside to begin with. Having established the existence of an inner self and distinguished it from the objects of its perception, we have now arrived at the core problem of the human experience. The natural state of the self is one of profound beauty and peace, yet this state is obscured by an inner mess. The common strategy of trying to clean this mess by rearranging the outside world is doomed to fail. The true path, therefore, must begin with an inward turn, an honest investigation into the source of this internal disarray, so that what is messing things up can be cleared away, allowing the natural beauty of the inner world to shine through. Chapter 4, The Three-Ring Circus. I'm in here, I'm conscious, and what I am conscious of is that it's not always so nice in here. This honest statement is the perfect launching pad for our continuing exploration of self and the power of acceptance. What is it that you experience inside that sometimes makes it nice and sometimes makes it so difficult? There are only three things you experience in there. First, you experience the outside world coming in through your senses. When it comes in, it can be a pleasant, unpleasant, or just a passing through experience. This stream of sensory input has a profound effect on your inner state. But the outside world is not all you experience. You also have thoughts in there. You hear them saying, "I don't know if I like this," or "Wow, I'd like to have a car like that." If asked who is saying this, you would probably say it's you, but it is not you. Those are thoughts, and you are the one who is noticing the thoughts. Just as you notice the world coming in from the outside, you notice the thoughts that are generated inside. These two things, the outside world and your thoughts, are two of the three things you experience. The third is your feelings or emotions. There are pleasant feelings like love and unpleasant ones like fear, embarrassment, and guilt. Your mind can say, "I feel scared," but it is the actual experience of the emotion of fear that causes the problem. We have come a long way in our exploration. We have proven that you're in there, and the strongest proof is that you know you're in there. This is your seat of awareness. Anytime you get lost, you can center yourself by standing in front of a mirror and realizing that you are the one who sees. From this centered place, you can notice what else you are aware of: your surroundings coming in through your senses, your thoughts passing through your mind, and the emotions that arise in your heart. These three inner experiences are the arena in which your consciousness plays the game of life. The bottom line is, you don't stand a chance in there. The constant barrage of these three experiences is like a three-ring circus going on inside you all the time, an overwhelming effect that can feel like a conspiracy against you. The outside world influences your thoughts, and your thoughts and emotions generally align. You were doing fine until an event came in from the outside, took over your thoughts, and generated a difficult emotion. You get sucked into that overwhelming experience. If asked what it's like living in there, you would probably say, "It's pretty intense. I get lost a lot and struggle to be okay." Buddha said that all of life is suffering. He wasn't being negative. Whether you are rich or poor, sick or healthy, the vast majority of what is going on inside you is an effort just to be okay. You will at some point realize that is all you have ever done. That is why you cried as a child and why you wanted certain things. You thought they would make you okay. To be okay means trying to make your thoughts and emotions easier to live with. You want them to be positive and uplifting, but the outside world of reality can come in and make them very difficult. This is why life can be so overwhelming. This interaction between the world, your thoughts, and your emotions raises important questions that we will explore in detail. When we are through, you will realize that what really matters is not the thoughts, the emotions, or the outside world. What really matters is you in there, who is experiencing these things. You in there are higher than any experience you've ever had. If you can find your way back to the seat of self, you will discover what all the great spiritual masters have taught. The kingdom is within you. You in there are a very great being, but to know that, you have to free yourself from all the inner commotion. The inner life is a three-ring circus of sensory input, thoughts, and emotions, a constant barrage that pulls your awareness away from its center and leaves you in a perpetual state of trying to be okay. This struggle is the source of suffering. But by recognizing that you are not the circus, but the one who is watching it, you can begin the process of untangling yourself from the chaos. The path to inner peace lies not in controlling the circus, but in returning to the seat of awareness, the silent, still center from which you can observe the show without being swept away by it. Chapter 5: Exploring the Nature of Things. Your entire life is composed of consciously experiencing the three objects of consciousness: the outer world, your thoughts, and your emotions. Now we are ready to explore the origin and nature of these experiences. By understanding where they come from, they will lose some of the distractive power they have over you, and you will better understand your own tendency to accept or reject them. We study these objects of consciousness not just for the knowledge we gain, but for the freedom we attain. Let's begin with the nature of the world passing before you. Every moment comes and goes like the frames of a motion picture, a constant flow through time and space. Where do these moments come from? Why do you experience them the way you do? What is your true relationship to what passes before you? Even more interesting than the outer world is the inner world of the mind and emotions, and how and why they are always changing. Though all three of these objects of consciousness are in constant flux, you are the persistent being that is always there experiencing them. What is your nature? What is it like to sit back and be conscious of being conscious? This is what all spirituality is about. When you are no longer distracted by any of the three great distractors, your consciousness will no longer be pulled into those objects. It will naturally remain in its source. It is like a flashlight shining on various objects. Instead of looking at the objects being illuminated, if you look at the light itself, you realize it is the same light shining on everything. Likewise, it is the same consciousness that is aware of all the objects passing before it, both outside and in. You are that consciousness. When you pull back to that source of awareness, it is the most beautiful thing you will ever experience. This is the journey before us, to free ourselves from the distractions that keep drawing us away from our greatness and leave us struggling with life. As you come to understand the nature of the objects you are struggling with, you will naturally be able to release the hold they have on you. This act of letting go is what is meant by acceptance and surrender. There is a state of great peace within you that cannot be disturbed by the world, your thoughts, or your emotions. These objects can continue to exist, but they will no longer dominate your life. You will be free to fully interact with the world, but from a sense of love and service rather than fear or desire. This is the underlying purpose of this book, for you to learn how to let go of the three great distractors and return to the source of your being. This is the only way to fully enjoy your time here on Earth. This is what it means to be living untethered. It does not take forceful practices to return to your core. The highest path is to learn through your daily life how to gradually let go of what is distracting your consciousness. By accepting instead of resisting, you will eventually attain a permanent seat of clarity, becoming established in the seat of self. You will be living in the most beautiful energy you've ever experienced, and it will never stop. We will approach this process of freeing yourself in a very scientific, analytical manner. By doing so, you will become so comfortable with the three objects of consciousness that you will no longer have to devote your life to controlling the experience. You will see that these passing objects, your body, mind, and emotions, represent the lower aspect of your being. In drastic contrast, you can learn to establish yourself in the higher aspect of your being, the seat of conscious awareness. You can live your life in a state of complete freedom and happiness. Let us embark on our journey into the exploration of our outer world, the inner world of mind and emotions, and the consciousness that experiences it all. Let us learn more about this path of acceptance of what passes before us. With the understanding that we are the conscious receiver of experience, we now turn our attention to the experiences themselves. The world outside, the thoughts inside, and the emotions that rise and fall. These are the three great distractors that create the inner commotion and prevent us from residing in a state of peace. By exploring the nature of these phenomena, one by one, we can begin to loosen their grip, moving from a life of resistance and control to one of acceptance and freedom. The journey begins with the most immediate of the three rings, the outside world. Chapter 6, the moment in front of you. Keeping perspective is essential on our path to inner freedom. The solid ground we return to again and again is the simple fact that you are in there. You know you're in there, and you have always known you are in there. The reason you don't focus on this fact is that you are too absorbed in the objects of your consciousness, both inside and out. Spiritual awakening is the process of untangling your consciousness from these objects. To do this, it is tremendously helpful to understand the nature of the objects you deal with each day. We begin our exploration with the outside world, the unending stream of sights, sounds, tastes, smells, and touches that you receive through your five senses. To explore what it is like to be you, the conscious being within, we must take the time to thoroughly understand this outside world that makes up such a major part of your life. We start with a statement you will probably not agree with. The moment in front of you right now has absolutely nothing to do with you. Before you disagree, just look. Don't do anything with it. Simply notice that there is a moment in front of you. Now look to the left and to the right. These are different moments. They were there before you looked, and they will be there after you look away. How many moments exist in the world, in the entire universe, that you are not looking at right now? You must admit that those moments have nothing to do with you. They belong to themselves. You didn't create them. The moment in front of you is just another one of these moments, completely impersonal. Nonetheless, the moment in front of you doesn't seem impersonal. It seems intensely personal. This is why it can cause so much trouble. You suffer when the moment is not as you want it, and you rejoice when it matches your preferences. This is not because of anything intrinsic to the moment itself, but because of something you are bringing to it. All moments are simply moments in the universe. You are the one who brings your personal preferences to these impersonal moments, making them seem personal. We are willing to admit that what is happening in Timbuktu or on the sands of Mars has nothing to do with us. More than 99.99999% of the universe is impersonal to us. But somehow, the 0.0001% that is right in front of you becomes personal simply because you are looking at it. The problem is that you have made a really big deal out of the moment in front of you by constantly bringing your personal preferences to it. Notice that the billions of people who are not looking at what you are looking at have no problem with it. It is not stirring up their thoughts or emotions. When you turn your attention away, it generally won't bother you either. Instead, the next moment will. Suddenly, this new moment starts affecting you. But the truth is, it existed exactly the same before you looked at it. One of the most amazing things you will ever realize is that the moment in front of you is not bothering you. You are bothering yourself about the moment in front of you. It is not personal. You are making it personal. Your relationship to all the countless moments unfolding in the universe is exactly the same. You are the subject. They are the object. Even when you realize this intellectually, it won't look that way in your everyday life. To help, imagine you are at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, looking out at the Pacific Ocean. Ask yourself, does what you see have anything to do with you? You see waves, spray, perhaps a whale. That just happens to be what is unfolding at that moment. If you had come at a different hour, you would have seen something different. It would only bother you if you came with personal preferences. I want to see a whale. With these preferences, your experience becomes a struggle to make the moment match what you want, instead of a simple enjoyment of what is. With the ocean, it is easier to see that the moment has nothing to do with you, because you don't generally identify with the ocean. But your relationship to what is in front of you is always the same, whether it's the ocean or your life. These moments are just what is happening at the particular time and place in the universe where you happen to be. None of it is personal. But since you seem to take it so personally, let's continue our exploration by looking at where that moment came from and why it is the way it is. The beginning of freedom lies in recognizing the impersonal nature of the world that flows before you. The stream of sights and sounds that make up your daily experience is not about you. It is simply what is. Your suffering and joy arise not from the moments themselves, but from the personal preferences you project onto them. Having established this foundational understanding of your relationship to the outside world, the next step is to delve deeper into the origins of these moments. By understanding where the world comes from and why it is the way it is, you can begin to loosen the grip of your personal reactions and see the world and your life with a newfound sense of clarity and peace. Chapter 7: The World You Live In. If you want to know where the moment in front of you came from, it makes sense to turn to our scientists, who have pondered this question for millennia. When we ask them today, they will tell us that what you perceive as the outside world is actually a blending of much smaller objects. As we have already explored, you are not truly looking out at the world. The world is coming into you through your senses, which are averaging molecular structures. To understand how this works, let's examine the nature of color. The world certainly appears to have color, but in truth, objects themselves have no color. The only reason you experience color is that the light bouncing off the objects has color. When light passes through a prism, it separates into the different colors of the electromagnetic spectrum: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Each color corresponds to a different wavelength of light. When these light waves hit a physical object, the atoms and molecules of that object absorb some frequencies and reflect others. It is the reflected light that has the color we perceive. This is a perfect example of how truth is not always what it appears to be, a theme we will see again and again as we examine the nature of consciousness. Scientists once thought the atom was the smallest possible unit of matter, but today we know it is composed of electrons, neutrons, and protons. This is the basic unit of everything we see. We could stop right here and have some fun with the personal way we look at things. What does it mean when you say you like something? If you like the color of a wall, you are really saying you like one part of the electromagnetic spectrum and not others. Do you really like some arrangements of atoms and not others? It gets a little weird when you realize that all you are ever looking at is a bunch of atoms with light bouncing off them. Scientists tell us that these atoms are pulled together into molecules by the laws of magnetism, covalent and ionic bonds. These impersonal laws determine what you see in the outside world, and they have been operating all over the universe for billions of years. There are only 118 different types of atoms in the known universe, and these basic elements from the periodic table are the building blocks of everything you see and interact with, not just on Earth, but in all the stars and planets. What is in front of you is simply an accumulation of atoms being pulled together by the laws of nature. It's all just science. Nothing is personal. To become personally offended by the flow of atoms as they pass by you is completely illogical. From here, the question gets really interesting. Where did the atoms come from? Now we are inquiring about the origin of matter itself. Understanding this can give you a profound sense of your place in the universe. All that is happening in your daily life is that your consciousness is observing electrons, neutrons, and protons that have been pulled together to form atoms and molecules. Since this is the world you live in, let's take the time to explore where it all came from. Understanding this has the potential to alter your entire view of life. By turning to science, we have begun to deconstruct the seemingly personal world into an impersonal dance of particles and light. The moment in front of you, which feels so immediate and relevant to you, has been revealed to be a transient arrangement of universal building blocks governed by immutable laws. This shift in perspective moves us away from our subjective reactions and toward a more objective understanding. Now, having peeled back the layer of appearances, we are prepared to ask the most fundamental question of all: where did the very substance of this world come from? The answer promises to change not just what you see, but how you see it. Chapter 8: The Origin of Matter. To understand the origin of the moment in front of you, we turn to science, which has reached a broad consensus on a basic model of creation. About 13.8 billion years ago, a giant explosion called the Big Bang occurred. Before this, all the mass and matter of the universe is thought to have been contained in a space smaller than an atom. This is not some fringe theory, but the conclusion of modern science. With a sense of awe and appreciation, let's explore how this scientific account of creation can serve our spiritual liberation. In the immediate aftermath of the Big Bang, the expanding energy was so hot that it was just unbridled radiation, without shape or form. Within a fraction of a second, subatomic particles began to emerge from this energy field. For about 380,000 years, the universe remained without form, as the radiation was too hot for elements to coalesce. Eventually, the universe cooled enough for the fundamental forces of gravity and electromagnetism to pull subatomic particles, electrons, neutrons, and protons, together to form the first atoms. All of this was born from the primordial energy field, now known as the quantum field. The first atoms to form were hydrogen, the simplest structure, with one negative electron attracted to one positive proton by the force of magnetism. As hydrogen atoms formed, they gathered into vast, thick clouds of gas. As these clouds thinned, photons, the subatomic particles of light, began to escape, and that was the beginning of light as we know it. It is interesting to note the similarity between this scientific cosmology and the account in Genesis, which describes the early earth as without form and void, and recounts the moment when, "Let there be light," and there was light. Now we can explore the origin of the other elements. As the expansion of the universe slowed, gravity began to pull the newly formed hydrogen atoms together. The gravitational force became so strong that it fused two hydrogen atoms into one, creating a helium atom. This process, called nuclear fusion, releases a tremendous amount of atomic energy and has been occurring throughout the universe for billions of years. These cosmic nuclear explosions, releasing powerful radiant energy, marked the birth of the first primary stars. A star is born from the fusion of hydrogen atoms, which leaves behind helium as its byproduct. This process began wherever the clouds of hydrogen gas were thickest, and it continues today. We can observe it in nebulae like Orion and Horsehead, which are not just beautiful pictures, but nurseries where new stars are being born through the very same process that occurred 13.8 billion years ago. Our universe, so far, is composed of hydrogen, helium, and brilliant burning stars. But the world we interact with is far more complex. To understand where the rest of the elements came from, we must look at the life cycle of a star. As a star fuses hydrogen, the heavier helium is pulled into its core by gravity, increasing the core's gravitational pull and keeping the star stable. When the star runs out of hydrogen, it begins to die. It expands into a red giant, and its core, no longer supported by fusion explosions, begins to collapse. Depending on the star's size, this collapse can generate enough force to begin fusing helium into more complex elements like carbon, reigniting the star at an even hotter temperature. This cycle of death and rebirth can repeat, with each collapse creating heavier and heavier elements, up to iron. Large stars will continue this process until they have cores of iron surrounded by shells of the lighter elements created in previous cycles. This is how all the elements on the periodic table from hydrogen to iron were created. The purpose of this discussion is to see where the outside world comes from. As amazing as it seems, the elements that make up our world, and even our own bodies, were forged in the stars. Almost 99% of the human body is composed of 6 elements: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus, all of which are lighter than iron and were produced by the burning of commonplace stars. This is a scientific fact, not a theory. For those who wonder if these facts challenge a belief in a creator, an appropriate response would be, of course not. They merely show you how God created all the structures in the universe. The stars are the furnaces that were used to create the universe. Every single atom you interact with was created in the stars, and at this very moment, billions of stars are forging more elements. Hopefully, you will never again look up at the stars in the same way. The scientific narrative of creation, from the singular point of the Big Bang to the fiery hearts of distant stars, reveals a profound truth about the world you live in. The chair you are sitting on, the air you are breathing, the very body you inhabit, all of it is composed of stardust. the byproduct of cosmic explosions that occurred billions of years ago. This understanding transforms the seemingly mundane personal world into a vast, interconnected, and utterly impersonal cosmic process. By seeing the world not as a collection of separate objects, but as a unified field of energy and matter with a shared origin, we can begin to dissolve the illusion of a separate self and embrace our true place within the grand, unfolding story of the universe. Chapter 9: The Power of Creation. Now that we have seen how ordinary stars forge the lighter elements that make up our world, we can turn to an even more fascinating process: the creation of the heavier elements on the periodic table, like gold, platinum, and silver. These are the elements with an atomic number greater than iron. Iron forms a crucial dividing line because, unlike lighter elements, it absorbs more heat than it releases during fusion. This means it cannot generate the energy needed to counteract a star's gravitational collapse. Unless a star is exceptionally large to begin with, a red supergiant, its life will end when it develops an iron core. What happens during the death of a red supergiant is one of the most amazing events in the known universe, providing the necessary energy to create these heavier elements. If the star is massive enough, the intensity of its final collapse is so great that it actually crushes the atoms in its core. Instead of fusing the iron atoms, this tremendous force pushes their negatively charged electrons into the positively charged protons of the nucleus, forming neutrons, which have no charge. What is left of the iron core is a mass of tightly packed neutrons. There are no atoms left, no electrons, no protons. The very structure of matter as we know it has been destroyed. The remnant of this process is a neutron star, an object that is tiny in size but enormous in mass. A neutron star is about the size of a city, yet it has a mass more than 300,000 times that of Earth. Its density is so incomprehensible that a single teaspoon of it, if brought to our planet, would weigh 12 trillion pounds. The amount of energy released by the collapse of a star's core into a neutron star is so powerful that it creates a colossal explosion known as a supernova. A single supernova emits more light than all the billions of stars in its galaxy combined. It is the brightest, most powerful explosion we have discovered in our universe. As it turns out, the enormous energy of a supernova is precisely what is needed to create the rest of the elements. What the force of gravity was unable to accomplish during the star's life, the massive explosive force of its death is able to do: fuse the heavier elements. The next time you look at your gold wedding ring or open a tin can, reflect on the fact that the creation of these elements required the combined power of billions of stars to come into existence. You are surrounded by myriad objects, from giant skyscrapers to tiny paper clips, that effortlessly come in through your senses. At their root, every one of these objects is made of atoms. You have now taken the time to understand that you did not create these atoms. They were created in the stars. This knowledge should serve to humble you and leave you in awe of the power of creation manifesting before you. Hopefully, this deep sense of humility and awe will assist you on your spiritual journey toward freedom and liberation. The exploration of the outer world, from the impersonal nature of the moment in front of you to the cosmic origins of matter itself, culminates in this humbling realization. The world you live in is not a random collection of objects, but a manifestation of creative power on a scale that is almost beyond comprehension. To see the universe in a single atom, to recognize the power of a supernova in a simple wedding band, is to begin to shift your perspective from the personal to the universal. This awe is more than just an interesting scientific fact. It is a vital energy on the path to inner freedom, a reminder that the same creative force that forged the stars is the very fabric of the world you experience, and of the consciousness that is experiencing it. Chapter 10: It's Not Personal. We have just explored the cosmic origins of the world around you, a story that began with the Big Bang and unfolded through the fiery process of atomic fusion within stars. When stars die and explode, they scatter the elements they have forged: carbon, oxygen, gold, silver, across interstellar space. Gravity then pulls these clouds of stardust together to form planets. This is how Earth, with its 92 natural elements, came into being. This process has been ongoing for over 13 billion years, and everything you interact with, including your own body, is composed of this ancient stardust. This is the truth, and it is worth remembering and contemplating regularly. Let's return to where we began this discussion, the moment in front of you. Where did it come from? Now we know. It came from the stars. The atoms were baked in solar furnaces, then pulled together to form the Earth. As you learned in science class, these elements joined into stable molecules like H2O, creating the oceans and eventually the primordial soup from which all life emerged. Every cell in your body is composed of elements created in the stars billions of years ago. This explains where your body came from, but it does not explain where you came from. You are not made of atoms. You are the consciousness that is aware of the objects made of atoms. The natural sciences may explain the outside, but what about the inside? Where did you come from? How did you get in there? And why is it the way it is in there? This is what we will explore in the coming chapters. What science has discovered about reality should inspire a profound respect for creation. The fact that we can explain these phenomenal events should leave us in awe. Look at what has emerged after 13.8 billion years. Pay attention to what is in front of you, for it is a very holy thing. Now consider this. Did you have anything to do with this process of creation? Of course not. The universe is a phenomenal system of cause and effect. What was, causes what is. What is, causes what will be. Every single moment in front of you is the result of billions of years of everything happening exactly as it did. The story of how your great-great-great-grandparents met is a perfect illustration of this intricate dependency. A dinosaur's footprint in ancient Florida becomes a lake, which attracts a native tribe, which is later joined by Spanish settlers. Your grandfather, a visitor, gets drunk in a saloon on a rainy day and stumbles into your grandmother, a descendant of the tribe. If any of these events, stretching back millions of years, had been different, you would not be here. Every single thing is the result of every single thing that has ever happened. You are not the doer, you are the experiencer of reality. If this is true, then it is silly to think it took 13.8 billion years for this moment to get here, and every single thing had to happen exactly as it did, but I don't like it. That's as funny as saying you don't like that Saturn has rings. Now you see why we explored where the moment in front of you came from. It has nothing to do with you. It is the result of trillions of factors that caused it to be the way it is. This is our first encounter with the true meaning of surrender and acceptance. You don't surrender the outside world, you surrender your personal made-up judgment of it. The truth is, every single thing is like Saturn's rings. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the forces that caused it, stretching back billions of years. To accept this truth is surrender. It is letting go of the part of you that thinks it has the right to like and dislike the result of billions of years of interactions. Eventually, you will realize that the moment in front of you is a very holy thing. Our scientific exploration has led us to a spiritual truth. Our scientists are our priests, teaching us how the underlying force of creation created creation. If it took 13.8 billion years for this moment to get here, and 13.8 billion years for you to be here to witness it, then every moment is a match made in heaven. You are being given a unique show that took billions of years to create, and you're complaining about it. The intention of this journey is to take away those reasons to complain. The moment in front of you is a gift from creation. We do not live our lives with a constant sense of awe because we make everything personal when it is not. You did not create this moment. You are simply being given the opportunity to experience it. People create a false dichotomy between science and God, but the real problem is that they don't truly believe in either. If you truly believed in science, you would live in awe of the quantum field from which everything emanates. If you truly believed in God, you would live in awe of the divine creation. You would not like or dislike it. You would be blown away that it even exists. We began this exploration by asking what it's like for you in there. To answer this, we explored the origin and nature of the outside world, revealing it as a special and sacred manifestation of cosmic forces. Next, we will turn our attention inward to the mind and its thoughts, then the heart and its emotions. As we comb through each layer, it will become easier to let go, to accept and surrender. Remember, you are not surrendering life. You are surrendering your resistance to life. Mindfulness, in this context, is being conscious of the true nature of things, where they come from, why they are the way they are, and what it took for them to manifest. It is an effortless process once you let go of personal distractions. Instead of thinking the moment has to be a certain way, you start thinking it's pretty awesome that it even exists. From now on, everywhere you look, be sure to say, thank you. Pay tribute to the stars. They are the furnaces of the universe that created everything for you. You are just in there, experiencing this amazing gift. This is spirituality, coming into harmony with reality instead of your personal self. The journey through the outside world concludes with a profound reorientation. By tracing the moment back to its cosmic origins, we have stripped it of its personal charge and revealed it as a sacred gift. The awe and respect this understanding engenders is the first step toward true surrender, not a passive giving up, but an active alignment with the universal forces of creation. This new perspective provides the foundation for our next exploration, as we now turn from the world outside to the world within, beginning with the ever-active and often troublesome realm of the mind. Chapter 11. Empty Mind. As a conscious being, you are aware of the world coming in through your senses, but your awareness is not limited to the outside world. You also have inner experiences. When the world comes in, it can make you feel good or bad. Since the outside world is really just structures of atoms, why does it have this inner effect on you? How can a bunch of atoms get you all jumbled up inside? You are capable of experiencing three distinct things: the outside world, the mind, and the emotions. Having deeply examined the outside world, we now turn to the second object of consciousness, the mind. What is mind? In the simplest sense, it is a place where thoughts exist. We have thoughts all the time. Why is he driving so slow? I'm going to be late. These thoughts certainly do not exist in the outside world. Scientists cannot read your thoughts, but you can, effortlessly. This is an amazing power you possess. Your consciousness has the ability to be aware of things that machines cannot detect. Thoughts and emotions surely exist, but not in what we define as the physical. Scientists have shown us that the entire universe is composed of energy. Thoughts and emotions are simply energy vibrating at such a high rate that our current machines cannot detect them, just as we once could not detect gamma rays or X-rays. But your thoughts are there and have always been there. You, the conscious awareness, have the ability to pay attention to, or not pay attention to, the thoughts being created at this higher vibration of energy, a plane that has been called the mental plane. Many questions arise about the mind. What are thoughts, and where do they come from? Only you can answer these questions because you are in there and have the ability to look at your own mind. You use terms like my mind and my thoughts. How do you know you had a terrible thought or that your thoughts are bothering you? You know because you are in there experiencing them. You can think of mind as a very high vibration field of energy in which thoughts can be created. But the mind is not the thoughts, just as the sky is not the clouds. Thoughts exist in the mind and are formed from its substance. Buddhists speak of the empty mind, which is the purest sense of the term. It is a field of energy with nothing in it. No thoughts, just an absolutely still, formless field. This is not a conceptual idea. It is a state that can be experienced in deep meditation. It is like a powerful computer with no software, full of latent potential but not currently doing anything. This is our starting point for understanding mind. The outside world exists independently of this field of mind. The energy of the physical plane vibrates at a grosser rate than the energy of the mental plane, and your consciousness is capable of being aware of both at the same time. Now that we have the concept of the empty mind, let's explore how objects are formed within it. For consciousness to be aware of the physical plane, you were given a body with 5 senses. This body is a gift from the stars, perfected by evolution. The vibrations of the outside world come in through your senses, pass through your nervous system into your brain, and then manifest in the mind where you experience them. This rendering of the outside world is a basic function of the mind, much like watching a televised ball game. The cameras at the game pick up the physical vibrations of light and sound, which are then transmitted and rendered on your TV screen. You are not watching the game. You are watching a rendering of the transmitted signals. Similarly, your senses pick up vibrations from the world, convert them into nerve impulses, and transmit them to the brain. These signals are then rendered in the mind's energy field, creating a mental image that you, the consciousness, become aware of. You are not out there in the world. You are inside, experiencing a rendering of what your senses have picked up. Your mind is no longer empty. It has formed its energy into the exact image of what is within the scope of your senses. This is not so different from dreaming, where images are created in the mind, except that in the waking state, the images are generated by the senses. Your mind is so brilliant, it takes the encoded nerve impulses and reproduces the entire scene in front of you with depth perception, touch, smell, and taste, all rendered from the higher energy vibration of the mind. It is naturally formless, yet it can create forms more brilliant than any computer. The mind is the first personal computer, so personal that it needs no external form. We have now gone from the empty mind to a mind that renders the outside world so you can experience it. Experience is the nectar of life. You saw how the world was created. Now you see how consciousness, which does not belong to the world of form, can experience it through the miracle of mind. In truth, consciousness itself is the most profound miracle. When consciousness is simply experiencing reality as imaged in the mind, we call that being in the present moment. The real world is outside. It is being reflected in your mind, and you are aware of the image. You are experiencing the gift of the moment. Everyone has had rare moments like this, perhaps brought on by a beautiful sunset that completely blew your mind. In that moment, there was nothing left in your mind but the image of the sunset. Your entire consciousness was centered and focused on the experience. This is what the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali describes as the experiencer and the experience becoming one, a merger of subject and object. This is the yogic state of dharana, or one-pointed concentration. In yogic philosophy, the self is called Sat Chitananda, eternal conscious bliss. When the self focuses one-pointedly on a single object, it experiences its own nature, total peace, contentment, and overwhelming bliss. This state is available to us at any time if we can just learn to enter the undistracted state of one-pointed consciousness. The journey into the mind reveals that it is not a producer of thoughts, but a field of energy in which the world is rendered for the self to experience. This inner space, which is so often filled with a chaotic stream of thoughts, has a natural state of pure empty stillness. By understanding this, we can begin to see that the turmoil of the mind is not its inherent nature, but a disturbance caused by the objects that form within it. The path to a quiet mind lies not in fighting the thoughts, but in returning to the simple, direct experience of the present moment, where the observer and the observed can merge into a state of one-pointed peace. Chapter 12, Birth of the Personal Mind. Why don't we live in an ecstatic state of one-pointed consciousness all the time? What went wrong? The world comes in and it's beautiful, a moving experience. But that doesn't mean it all feels the same. Heat feels different from cold. A gentle touch feels different from a bump. A coiled rattlesnake coming into the mind is a very different experience from a butterfly landing on your arm. Each is giving off its nature, its particular vibration. There is nothing wrong with this variety. In fact, a world of constant butterflies would become so normal, it would be nothing. Your consciousness expands because of the knowledge that flows into it. You are learning and growing through every experience. When a rattlesnake comes into your mind, it may not be a comfortable inner experience, but it is just as rich and important as the butterfly. If you are willing to be open at this level, you are still in the idyllic garden. There are no problems, only learning experiences. Unfortunately, that is not how we live. Something went wrong. Let's take this fall from the garden in slow motion. The rattlesnake comes in, and it is an uncomfortable experience, perhaps even at a survival level. But this discomfort is not bad in itself. It is just a different vibration, like a harsh color. You can learn to be comfortable with all vibrations. The rattlesnake will come and go, and its uncomfortable vibration will go with it. You are simply in there, experiencing creation as it passes through you. But you don't practice that level of acceptance. You in there, who is experiencing the rendering in your mind, have the ability to resist what is not comfortable. You were given free will, and you can use that will like inner hands to push away thoughts and emotions that don't feel right. This resistance is an act of will, an innate power that emanates from consciousness. Just as the sun's rays can be focused with a magnifying glass, when consciousness focuses on something, it has great power. This concentrated consciousness is the source of will. The power of will is crucial for understanding how the mind moved from clarity to confusion. Your awareness does not fall evenly on all objects that render in your mind. If an experience is particularly comfortable or uncomfortable, you either liked it or didn't like it. This is the foundation of the personal mind, like and dislike. It depends on whether you have the ability to experience something that comes in without doing anything about it, other than fully experiencing it. If an inner experience is not neutral to you, it draws your consciousness to focus on it. That focus is a force. When you focus the force of consciousness on a particular mental object, that object cannot pass through the mind like the others. It gets stuck. When you want to do math, you concentrate on the numbers to hold them in your mind. Concentration freezes forms in the mind. When you saw the rattlesnake, you focused your consciousness on it and let the trees and sky pass through. Because you focused so much on it, you froze the experience of the snake in your mind. You resisted letting this uncomfortable experience all the way in. To let it all the way in, as you do with a beautiful sunset, is to open up and let it pass into the core of your being. But there was no way you were going to let the rattlesnake all the way in. Resistance is a natural response to discomfort. You try to keep it at a distance. You have done this before, with a hurtful comment or a painful memory. The event still happened, but you don't have to let it all the way in. The mind is a big place, and you can use your will to keep the mental image at a distance. Now that you have resisted the rattlesnake, a beautiful butterfly lands on you. You focus on it, and when it starts to fly away, you don't want it to go, so you use your will to hold on to the mental image. This is what Buddhists call clinging. You push away the experience of the rattlesnake and cling to the experience of the butterfly. Neither of these mental patterns can finish its natural journey through the mind. They become stuck as patterns in the mind's energy field. This is the power of like and dislike. Both clinging and resisting keep these mental renderings in your mind. The experiential mind was meant to be like a clear TV screen, simply rendering the image being sent to it. But now you have held on to images that are no longer being generated by the outside world. They are stuck in your mind as mental patterns, and you are out of harmony with reality. You are no longer just experiencing the gift of reality, you are also experiencing the patterns you held on to. These trapped patterns are unique and personal, born from your past interactions with the world. This is the birth of the personal mind. The problem is that reality is not personal. We are simply experiencing the miracle of creation. But now there are rattlesnakes and butterflies in your mind, even when they are not actually in front of you. Reality must now compete with these leftover impressions for your attention, hindering your ability to fully focus on the outer world. The fall from a state of one-pointed consciousness was a subtle but profound shift. It was the moment the impersonal flow of experience was first met with the personal act of will, the choice to like and dislike, to cling and to resist. This simple act of focusing consciousness on a mental object, freezing it in place, gave birth to the personal mind, a repository of trapped patterns from the past. These patterns, unique to each individual, now form a distracting inner world that constantly competes with the reality of the present moment. Having understood how the mind moved from a clear screen to a cluttered space, we can now begin to explore the nature of this personal mind and the thoughts that arise from it. Chapter 13, Fall from the Garden. Resistance is the beginning of the fall from the proverbial garden. You were just fine, being aware of the awesome, ever-changing creation as it presented constant gifts of experience for you to learn and grow from. When you are deeply absorbed in music, there are no stray thoughts, only the music effortlessly feeding the depth of your being. In a clear mind, everything comes in this way, raising you to ecstasy. In this state, you have returned to the garden, where everything is effortlessly beautiful. But once you hold on to rattlesnakes and butterflies in your mind, you can no longer stay in that pure state of consciousness. These mental patterns of like and dislike become powerfully charged objects that draw your attention. When your mind was clear, your consciousness was simply entertained by the rendering of the outside world as it passed through. But these new charged objects do not come and go. They remain because you are holding them in your mind. Everything is no longer equal, and this creates a major problem. Now, when you see a rope on the road, it no longer feels like a rope. It reminds you of the rattlesnake. The mind immediately joins these two mental objects, and you get scared, terrified by a rope. A similar thing happens with the butterfly. Long after it has flown away, you are still focusing on the mental image, trying to hold on to the good feeling. When something new comes in, like a person walking by, your consciousness is not fully seeing it. You have a preference. You would rather experience the mental image of the butterfly than the reality in front of you. A whole new world has been created for your consciousness to focus on. A world you built in your mind that does not match the reality of creation. These images are things from the past that you have willfully kept, and they are the seeds of your personal self. Think of it like the after images on old plasma screen TVs. If an image was paused for too long, a shadow of it would burn into the screen. That's what is happening in your mind with the butterfly and the rattlesnake. You can no longer clearly see what is in front of you because these leftover images are superimposed on the screen of your mind. You didn't mean to mess up your screen. It seemed innocent to push away an unpleasant experience. But that willful resistance caused it to stay in your mind as a lasting impression. This is where the personal comes from. We said that nothing is really personal, but you have chosen to fill the sanctity of your mind with frozen images from your past. These impressions will pull your consciousness toward them, creating a limited and biased view of reality that will distort all your future experiences. And it's not just one rattlesnake and one butterfly. You have been doing this your entire life, and these stored impressions build on each other. Now the sound of a baby's rattle can scare you. This is how personal preferences are born, and once created, they will dominate your experience of life. In yogic science, these stuck impressions are called samskaras. Ancient meditators knew about this thousands of years before modern psychology because they saw it happening in their own minds. When you are quietly centered, you can see what is passing before you. But instead of paying attention, you get so uptight about wanting butterflies and not wanting rattlesnakes that you lose your centered awareness. When the outside world comes in and activates these stored patterns, your consciousness gets drawn into them, and everything becomes distorted. This is the foundation of the psyche, your personal self, a self-concept you have built inside. I'm the one who doesn't like rattlesnakes. I'm the one who likes butterflies. Everyone has had different experiences and is building a different personal mind inside. This happens quite naturally because you are not yet ready to openly experience all of life. The highest state is to be comfortable learning and growing from all experiences. If you are not, you will use your will to resist. This simply means you are not yet evolved enough in that area. When events come in, they are meant to be experienced. If you have trouble experiencing them, that is the purpose of learning to accept. You have no right to cling to or resist reality. It is none of your business. The real question is not whether you like things, but why you are not okay with them. The simple reason is that you can't digest them. It's hard to let some experiences pass through without residual disturbance. But the soul can learn. You, the consciousness, can learn to experience reality by not resisting. Acceptance is non-resistance, a commitment to allow reality to pass directly into the highest part of your being. The same is true for positive experiences. When you cling to a beautiful moment, you are practicing be there then instead of be here now. You have ruined the experience by holding on to it. Whether you resist or cling, these leftover impressions, these samskaras, create a layer of mind that holds your unfinished patterns from the past. These acts determine the quality of your life, distracting you from the present moment and from experiencing who you really are. There is a vast difference between a normal memory and a samskara. Normal memory is a natural function of the mind. It is well behaved and does not pop up by itself. A samskara, on the other hand, is a resisted package of an experience, an entire block of energy locked inside your mind. It is like a computer virus that keeps trying to release its blocked energy, distorting your memories and disturbing your present. When you commit to spiritual growth, you work on letting go of these stored blockages and not storing any more. You are not forgetting life's experiences. You are simply not resisting or clinging to them, allowing them to remain harmless, objective memories. Fortunately, most things you encounter are neutral and pass through unblocked. But there are a few things that are harder to deal with, and you resist or cling to them. This is how you fell out of the garden of reality. These impressions stayed inside and became the foundation blocks upon which you built your psyche. The fall from the garden was the moment you first chose to resist an experience, to hold a part of the past within you. This initial act of resistance gave birth to the personal mind, a world of stored impressions that now stands between you and reality. These leftover patterns, these samskaras, are not just memories. They are active, charged energies that distort your perception and distract your consciousness. Having understood the origin and nature of this personal mind, we can now delve deeper into its contents, the thoughts that arise from it, and learn how to stop creating the inner world that keeps us from living in the real one. Chapter 14, The Veil of the Psyche. Your psyche is like a computer program running in your mind, based on your stored samskaras. It's a constant inner dialogue about the past, the present, and the future. You have created a complex alternate reality inside yourself, a menagerie of the stored moments you were unable to let go of. You no longer need an external trigger like a rattlesnake to get disturbed. Other things will remind you of it, and you can even remind yourself. Suddenly, while driving down the street, the memory of the snake arises, and you get scared all over again. We are no longer dealing with reality. We have such a mess built up inside that it is no wonder we have so much trouble with life. Such is the nature of the personal mind. Regardless of how messy it gets, the fact remains that the personal mind is not you, any more than your TV screen is you. But it is much harder to objectively watch your mind than a TV screen because of the power of the impressions you have stored there. These past impressions compete with the image of reality coming in from the outside, making it difficult to tell which is which. Samskaras are not to be taken lightly. They seriously distort your experience of life. The whole world becomes a giant Rorschach test. The world is just a flow of atoms, no more personal than an ink blot. But it hits your samskaras, stimulating stored mental and emotional reactions. Instead of experiencing what is passing by outside, you are experiencing the likes, dislikes, beliefs, and judgments stored inside. The personal mind has taken over your entire life, and you are no longer free to simply enjoy what is actually happening. When what is coming in from the outside stimulates your mental blockages, the original discomfort you resisted comes back up. To make matters worse, you are not seeing what is actually outside. You are seeing your inner issues projected onto it. This is why life can seem so scary, always hitting your weak spots. The truth is, life is not hitting your weak spots. You are projecting your weak spots onto life. And it's not just the negative impressions. The positive things you held onto are no longer happening, and that is disappointing. If you return to the place where you saw the butterfly and it's not there, it becomes a negative experience. You have created a lose-lose situation. If anything reminds you of what bothered you, you lose. If you don't get to re-experience what you liked, you lose. This is the opposite of what Zen calls beginner's mind, where with no expectations, a special moment can touch you deeply. Your samskaras interfere with the spontaneity of the event. The end result is that your life is ruined. Unless something drastic happens to pull you out of this preference system, you can't feel anything fully. This is why some people seek extremes to get a rush, while others try to keep everything the same so their samskaras are not disturbed. You get to the point where you are just running around trying to appease your mind. Eventually, you will realize it's not the job or the spouse that gets old, it's listening to the mess in your mind that gets old. While these patterns from the past are blocked in your mind, you can neither experience the miracle of life unfolding before you nor the natural beauty within you. Your awareness is completely distracted, and you are stuck experiencing yourself. This brings us to the Zen concept of just tree. A young monk, after seeing the same oak tree in the monastery courtyard every day, one day saw just tree. He saw the tree without the filter of his past associations, the tree Buddha sat under, the tree he fell out of as a child. He had a moment of enlightenment. To see just tree is to have a pure experience, where the tree comes in and renders in your mind, and that's all you see. But when your samskara mind is activated, your consciousness is scattered between the primary image of the tree and the secondary explosion of reactions inside. You can't have pure experiences anymore. There is nothing wrong with the mind itself. It is a brilliant gift. It is how you use it that causes the problem. We all have the human mind, and the human mind is brilliant. The psyche, this veil of stored impressions, creates a distorted, alternate reality that prevents you from experiencing life as it is. It is a prison of your own making, built from the moments you refuse to let go. But you are not your psyche. You are the one who is aware of it. By understanding the nature of this personal mind, by seeing how it projects its stored patterns onto the world, you can begin to see through the veil. The goal is not to destroy the mind, but to quiet it, to return it to its natural state as a clear screen upon which reality can unfold without distortion. The path to freedom lies in learning to see just tree, to experience the moment purely, without the interference of the past. Chapter 15, The Brilliant Human Mind. What's so special about the human mind? For billions of years, evolution unfolded on a planet formed from star-forged atoms. Before humans arrived, life for other species was a static affair of food, shelter, and survival. Monkeys lived in trees and fish swam in the waters, just as they had for millions of years. Then you humans showed up with your human mind. You discovered electricity, built skyscrapers, developed silicon chips, and flew to the moon. While other animals are living exactly as they did a million years ago, you have gone from living in caves to planning to live on Mars. Your mind figured out that everything was made of atoms, and then it figured out how to split the atom. It figured out how the universe was made and put up the Hubble Space Telescope to see back to the beginning of creation. You can do this because you have a human mind. The human mind is an amazing thing. You are in there, deep inside, and you have the use of a brilliant mind. While Einstein used his mind to ponder the physics of outer space, the average human keeps their mind busy with relationships, what people think of them, and how to get what they want. You may not have Einstein's mind, but compared to any other living thing on Earth, your mind is brilliant. The question is not whether your mind is brilliant, but what you're doing with that brilliance. The mind, by itself, is doing what it is supposed to do, giving you the gift of rendering the outside world for you to experience. But you had trouble accepting that gift. Your resistance and clinging created a buildup of mental patterns or samskaras inside of you. We can think of this as layers of the mind. The first is the here and now layer, where the rendering of the present external experience takes place. The next is the samskara layer, composed of the stored patterns from the past that you did not release. Then there's a third layer, the personal thoughts layer. This is the layer you create with your brilliant mind as you try to solve the discomforts caused by the samskaras. It is the layer you identify with most, the one you think of as who you are. The combination of these three layers is what we call the personal mind. We create this personal thoughts layer when we use the tremendous intellectual power of our mind to conceptualize an outside world that will not bother us and will make us feel good. The problem is, what we think will make us feel good or bad is simply the result of blocked mental patterns from the past. When we use our brilliance to develop thought patterns based on how everything needs to be for us to feel okay, we have limited our life to serving our samskaras. And it doesn't stop there. We figure out the strategy of how to be okay and then the tactics of how to make it happen. We are, in essence, at war with the world. The personal mind has taken on the task of getting the world to be the way you want it. This should set off alarm bells. The moment in front of you is the result of all the natural forces that caused it to be as it is. Your preference system is the result of past experiences you couldn't handle. These are two totally different sets of forces. For example, current impersonal forces are causing it to rain. Past personal forces are causing you to not like the rain. You have just pitted yourself against the universe, and you are going to lose. Nevertheless, the personal mind thinks it is right. You actually think that the universe should be the way you want it to be. The brilliant human mind, a tool of immense power that has unlocked the secrets of the cosmos, has been co-opted by the personal self. Instead of being a clear lens for experiencing the miracle of creation, it has become a strategic weapon in a futile war against reality. This internal conflict, driven by the unresolved patterns of the past, is the source of our inner turmoil. We have now seen how the outside world is rendered in the mind and how that rendering becomes distorted by the birth of the personal. The next part of our journey will take us deeper into the landscape of this personal mind, to explore the very nature of thoughts and dreams themselves. Chapter 16, The Abstract Mind. Fortunately, your mind has a layer beyond the personal mind. It has been called the impersonal, the abstract, or the purely intellectual mind. This layer is not distracted by the inner commotion of your samskaras. It is free to soar unhindered into the pure brilliance and creativity of a higher expression of mind. This abstract layer is what allows you to build rocket ships, develop air conditioning, and discover atoms. It is what truly makes humans great. You are not limited to experiencing the world only through your senses. You can explore in the realm of pure intellect. Your mind can expand beyond the limits of your personal thoughts and take you anywhere. Intellectually, you have the ability to take images from the outside and do creative things with them, to be artistically abstract and intellectually logical. Einstein's thought experiments are a perfect example of this power. This is a far cry from getting lost in your personal thoughts, creating ideas about what you want and don't want, and then trying to force the world to match them. Once you do that, you will never be okay inside. You will lose the great power of abstract thought because you cannot abstract from yourself. Life will become a battle between reality and your mental preferences. This is the personal mind, where all thoughts are about you and your concepts, views, and preferences. The teachings of mindfulness encourage you to focus on something other than the personal mind. Another way to transcend the personal mind is to use your intellectual mind to create and do things that are not personal in nature. Engineering, medical research, art, mathematics. The mind is great. It's just not supposed to be used for storing your personal preferences and then expecting the world to match them. The outside world is not going to magically align with what you've stored in your mind. It is not intelligent to devote your life to fighting with life. This is what almost every human being has done. People just haven't evolved enough to learn not to do that. But you do not have to live this way. There is a much higher way to live, but it requires that you change how you interact with your mind and with the life unfolding before you. To understand this transformation, first look at how you decided what you want and don't want. Your preferences are determined by your past experiences. You are totally secure in your relationship until you hear about your friend's miserable breakup. Suddenly, you start worrying about your own. You have stored the concept of a breakup inside your mind, even though it had nothing to do with you. You took it personally. Is it possible to process this information without it getting stuck? Of course. Your friend's problem came into your mind, passed through your consciousness, and you experienced compassion. The interaction made you a greater being. You were able to fully absorb the reality of life without it getting stuck. If you want to recall it, you can, but it won't come back up by itself. But if you resist the experience, it will stay stuck, creating havoc. If you really resist it, it will get shoved down into the subconscious to fester. You will be afraid of your own thoughts. To live in there, your analytical mind must now be used to figure out how to arrange the outside world so you can be okay. This is where preferences come from. It's easy to see why people don't agree with each other. Nobody else has had your experiences. What you have inside your mind is completely different from what others have. It can't be otherwise. And to make matters more complicated, we often feel pressure to conform to a group mindset, suppressing parts of ourselves. No wonder it gets messy in there. You are holding all that personal stuff inside, the good, the bad, and the ugly. When the moment in front of you aligns with your stored patterns, you feel great. When it doesn't, you get upset. Now we are back to the question, what's it like living in there? Sometimes it's heaven, sometimes it's hell. This is why. It is not because God made it that way. You did this. You were given free will, and you used it to make a mess out of your mind. Instead of being in awe that the moment in front of you even exists, you fight with it to make it match what you want. Beyond the veil of the personal mind, with its stored samskaras and incessant chatter, lies a higher layer of mind, the abstract, impersonal intellect. This is the source of human greatness, the wellspring of creativity and genius. By getting lost in the personal, by using our brilliant minds to serve the preferences born of past hurts and desires, we have cut ourselves off from this higher faculty. We have become trapped in a war with reality, a conflict of our own making. The path forward lies in transcending this personal addiction, either through the focused attention of mindfulness or by engaging the abstract mind in impersonal creation. It requires a fundamental shift in how we use the powerful gift of our mind, turning it from a tool of control into a vehicle for exploration and wonder. Chapter 17, Serve Mind or Fix It. All your preferences exist because you stored experiences from the past inside your personal mind. This makes it difficult to live in there, but instead of fixing the inner problem, you double down and try to satisfy your preferences by manipulating the outer world. I want to feel good, and the way to feel good is by getting the house I want. These attempts to compensate for your blockages are short-lived because you are not actually getting rid of the blockages. The foundational choice in life is this: either constantly try to control life to compensate for your blockages, or devote your life to getting rid of your blockages. We have stored these samskaras inside. Instead of getting rid of them, we now expect the world to adapt to them. We use the personal thoughts layer of our mind, the same brilliant analytical power that Einstein used, to figure out how the world needs to be to match what we want. Almost everything we do is governed by this layer of mind, which intellectualizes our stored patterns to create a model of a world that will never feel bad. This is why you have so much trouble making decisions. You are trying to mentally conceptualize how each choice will match the patterns you've stored inside. What else would I do? You might ask. How about living in reality and enjoying the moments that are unfolding in front of you? Use your mind to be creative and do great things, not to constantly think about itself and what it wants. The self-centered, analyzing layer of mind is the worst. It is the model you have built of how everything and everybody needs to be for you to feel okay. You get upset about the weather, the driver in front of you, the way your spouse is dressed. You have developed an entire intellectual model of how every single thing should be, and you honestly believe that what you made up based on your very limited past experiences is how it should be. The truth is, that's absurd. The world in front of you has the power of reality behind it, the result of billions of years of influences. In contrast, you're just making up how it's supposed to be based on the impressions you held inside. When reality doesn't match your model, you say reality is wrong. Here's a technique for getting perspective. Put your mind in outer space and realize that 99.999% of it is just empty space between the stars. What you get to experience every day on Earth, colors, shapes, sounds, is a miracle. Yet all you do is say, no, it's not what I want. Instead of comparing the moment in front of you to the preferences you've built up, compare it against the nothingness that makes up most of the universe. If you do this, you will find yourself being thankful for your daily experiences. This is how a wise person lives. The alternative is to suffer. We have already discussed Buddha's first noble truth. All of life is suffering. Now we come to the second. The cause of suffering is desire or preference. Events don't cause suffering. You cause yourself suffering about the events by deciding how you want them to be and then getting upset when they are not that way. Always remember, it took 13.8 billion years for the moment in front of you to be exactly the way it is. Experiences are not suffering. They are experiences. But if you decide how you want them to be and they're not that way, then you suffer. The suffering is caused by the contrast between what you mentally decided you wanted and the reality unfolding in front of you. You have set up in your mind what you like and dislike based on your past impressions, and now you believe the world should conform to that. This is a belief not founded in reality, and as long as you hold it, you will have a very hard time in life. We now have a clear view of the personal mind. The first layer receives the senses. The second layer is the samskaras we did not let pass through. Based on this foundation, we built a third layer of personal thought patterns of like and dislike and how to get life to be the way we want. These impressions are so powerful that our consciousness becomes completely absorbed in the model they generate, forming our very self-concept. I am the one who likes this, doesn't like that, and I'm dead serious about getting what I want. We are so distracted by this model that we are not even aware of being back there, watching it all. But we are. How else would we know it's going on? The brilliant human mind, a tool of immense potential, has been chained to the service of our past traumas and desires. We are caught in a futile struggle, using our intellect not to explore the wonders of creation, but to wage a war against it, demanding that reality conform to the distorted map of our personal mind. This fundamental choice, to either serve the mind or fix it, defines our spiritual path. To continue serving it is to remain in a state of suffering, forever chasing an external world that will satisfy our inner blockages. To fix it is to begin the work of letting go, of surrendering our personal preferences and opening ourselves to the impersonal, ever-changing miracle of the moment. Chapter 18, Willful and Automatic Thoughts. You're in there, and you have the ability to create a thought. Say hello inside your head right now. You can do it willfully, either as an auditory thought through the voice inside your head, or as a visualization in your mind's eye. Now, visualize a boat, then a bigger boat, then the Queen Mary. That boat would not be in there unless you purposely willed it to be. You clearly have the ability to willfully make your mind create thoughts. But there is another category of thoughts. Automatic thoughts. These are the thoughts you did not purposely decide to create. They just pop into your mind. The vast majority of your thoughts are automatically generated. You're driving down the street and your mind starts creating thoughts by itself. Why did I have to say those things? If I hadn't said them, we might still be together. This is the voice inside your head talking on its own. If you doubt this is happening, try stopping it. The mind stream of thoughts will return in no time. If someone is supposed to call you at 3 o'clock and hasn't by 3:30, your mind creates a cascade of worrisome thoughts by itself. You are not willfully deciding to make yourself miserable. Your mind is doing it for you. If you pay attention, you will see that the mind creates most thoughts on its own, all the time. Watch yourself in the shower, when you're driving, when you take a break. Even when someone is talking to you, you are not just listening to them. You are also listening to your mind's reaction. These automatically generated thoughts range from funny to frightening, but is it really smart to have all that noise going on inside your head all the time? Where do these thoughts come from? As we have discussed, when you store a samskara, an unfinished mental and emotional pattern, it will not sit quietly inside of you. Anything you stored because you resisted or clung to it is trying to release. It's an energetic reality. The blocked energy from a past hurt is always trying to come up. Just as in a dammed-up river, the blockage is trying to release its pent-up energy, and you have to constantly assert your willpower to hold it down. Just as your body tries to expel physical impurities, your mind is trying to expel these mental impurities. That is what is happening when your mind creates its own thoughts. There is always a reason why your mind creates one thought versus another. If someone doesn't call you and your mind creates worrisome thoughts, the meaningful question is not what you might have done to upset them, but why that particular reason came up. It could be because of a past experience where someone didn't call you on purpose. These impressions get left inside you and continuously try to release their pent-up energy, determining the automatic thoughts your mind creates. These thoughts are not some important truth or insight. They are simply your mind attempting to cleanse the patterns you have stored in there. The inner world of the mind is populated by two distinct kinds of thoughts: those you create willfully and those that arise automatically. While willful thoughts are a demonstration of your creative power, the vast majority of your mental activity is an automatic stream generated by the mind itself. This stream is not random. It is the product of your samskaras, the stored, unfinished energies from your past that are constantly seeking release. Understanding this distinction is the first step toward reclaiming your inner space. Instead of being a passive victim of your mind's ceaseless chatter, you can begin to see it for what it is, a natural cleansing process. This awareness allows you to stop identifying with every thought that arises and to start consciously choosing where you place your attention. Chapter 19: Dreams and the Subconscious. To better understand how stored mental energies get released, let's turn to a favorite topic of psychology: dreams. The traditional Freudian concept is that events from our waking life can leave unfinished impressions in the mind. A little boy who wants a bicycle but doesn't get one may suppress the unpleasant experience. Then, when he goes to sleep and his conscious control relaxes, the mind is free to release that blocked energy, and he dreams he gets the bicycle. This type of dream, what Freud called basic wish fulfillment, is a common experience. A charged event from the waking world finds its way into our dream world. It is not something you are willfully doing. It is the mind trying to release a built-up energy pattern, a samskara. The thoughts that make up your dreams are not so different from the automatic thoughts of your waking mind, but they are far more vivid, especially in their imagery. This is because when you are sleeping, your mind can focus completely on creating these thoughts, undistracted by the senses or your willful attempts to push them away. This is why the mind is so much more creative when you fall asleep, capable of creating entire complex worlds in full 3D and Technicolor. Once you stop suppressing uncomfortable experiences, you will realize that there really is no subconscious mind, per se. The conscious mind and the subconscious mind are actually one and the same. The only reason we see a division is that we have artificially created one. Imagine looking at a room of people and deciding you are only comfortable with the people on the right side. If you then refuse to ever look at the left side of the room again, you have separated the room into a part you are comfortable with and a part you don't want anything to do with. That is exactly what you've done to create the subconscious. The part of your mind you're not willing to look at is what we call the subconscious. Fortunately, once you stop suppressing, these artificially divided parts of your mind will merge, and you will get the rest of your mind back. Imagine the mental power you waste pushing all that mess into the subconscious and keeping it there for the rest of your life. It's amazing what a mess we make, simply because we can't handle the moments passing in front of us. The thoughts we push down into the subconscious play a role in both our waking and dreaming states. The mind creates automatically generated dream thoughts for the same reason it creates automatically generated waking thoughts, to release blocked energies. The common thread between these two states is that it is the same consciousness that is aware of both. The you who watches the dream is the same you who watches your waking thoughts. This is why you can wake up and say, "What a dream I had." You know because you were there. The great yoga master Meher Baba taught that because it is the same you, there can be great spiritual growth in dreams. By going through an experience in your dreams, you allow some blocked energy to release that you didn't allow while you were awake, which is a healthy and beneficial process for your spiritual evolution. We can learn a great deal about ourselves from the dream state, especially when dealing with samskaras that are more traumatic than simple preferences. Some things are so deep they can't even come up directly in a dream. If they tried to release, you would wake from a nightmare. Your consciousness is unable to experience the event even when it manifests in a dream, so you resist and wake up. How then does this energy release? The mind, in its brilliance, symbolizes what it is trying to express. Instead of dreaming about the traumatic car accident that killed your brother, you might dream of an eagle swooping down and taking a small bird from the sky. You are willing to watch that, but not the accident. Your mind is doing you a favor, allowing at least some of the pent-up energy to be released in a symbolic form. It's truly amazing how brilliant the mind is when left to its own resourcefulness. Just as your body is always trying to heal itself, your mind is always trying to release the impurities that are stuck in there. The exploration of the mind now takes us into the nocturnal world of dreams, revealing it not as a realm of fantasy, but as a crucial part of the mind's self-healing process. The subconscious is not a separate dark chamber, but a part of our own mind we have chosen to ignore. Dreams, in their vivid and often symbolic language, are the mind's attempt to release the stored energies of our past, to cleanse itself of the samskaras we were unable to process in our waking life. This understanding of dreams as a form of energetic release provides a deeper insight into the inner workings of the personal mind and points toward the path of reintegration and wholeness. Chapter 20, Waking Dreams. You can now appreciate the tremendous power of your mind to create dreams on its own. But dreams are not the only mental objects your mind creates automatically. The voice inside your head that talks all day is the exact same expressive power of mind. It would not be incorrect to call that dialogue your waking dreams. Every personal thing that voice says is because of the samskaras you have stored inside. Your mind is trying to release those blockages during the day while you're still awake. When you see someone running, the voice might say, "I wonder what he did wrong. It's like my brother when he ran away." The current situation has nothing to do with your brother. Your mind is using the opportunity to release pent-up energy. This is why so much of the mind's dialogue is negative. The vast majority of energy you have stored is from things you didn't like. When subsequent events stimulate these negative samskaras, the new events are automatically experienced as negative, and the negativity compounds. If you want to see how your preferences make life a negative experience, try building a house and painting the kitchen white. There are more than 50 shades of white, but only one tiny window of color choice will align with your preferences and make you happy. All the rest will get you upset. The probability that life will be a negative experience is extremely high, not because life is negative, but because the only thing that isn't negative to you is that which exactly matches your preferences. You have set up a system in which you can't win. You have expanded what can bother you to include anything that even reminds you of what bothered you before. The more preferences you have, the less you will be okay. So far, we have learned a great deal about the mind. We began with the empty mind, then discussed the here and now layer that renders the images from the senses. On top of that, the trouble begins. You, the conscious entity, used your will to keep certain images from passing through, creating the samskara layer. This layer holds the impressions from your past that are the basis for your personal preferences. And as if that wasn't enough, you then committed your life to thinking about how to serve this structure. Your consciousness is lost, constantly focusing on this false mental concept of self. Fortunately, there is a way out: witness consciousness. If you can learn to sit back and simply watch the voice inside your head, you can free yourself. This is not about shutting up the voice. Don't fight with your mind. You're the one who did this to it. The way to fix it is simple. Release the samskaras you've already stored and don't store any more. One thing complicates our task. The mind is not the only force making it difficult to find peace. The mind has a little sister, the heart, which can create emotions that make living inside very interesting. Sometimes it's like volcanoes going on inside, and other times it's so beautiful you just want to melt into it. What is going on with that? And more importantly, what can you do about it? That is exactly where we are going as we continue our journey into exploring what it's like to live inside yourself. The exploration of the mind concludes with the recognition that the inner voice, the incessant narrator of our lives, is nothing more than a waking dream, a continuous effort by the mind to release the stored energies of the past. By creating a personal self defined by a narrow set of preferences, we have set ourselves up for a life of dissatisfaction, a game we cannot win. The path to freedom is not to fight the mind, but to witness it, to release the samskaras that fuel its chatter and to stop creating new ones. Yet the mind is not the final layer of our inner world. Now, our journey takes us deeper, from the realm of thought to the source of feeling, as we turn our attention to the heart. Chapter 21, Understanding Emotions. Examining the nature of the world around us and the nature of the mind teaches us a great deal about ourselves. It's not always easy living inside. The thoughts created by the mind can be uncomfortable, and the world coming in through the senses can start a firestorm within. But on top of all this, there is something else we experience that can be even more disturbing than thoughts: emotions. Emotions are very different from thoughts, though most people don't separate them. The combination of your thoughts and emotions makes up your psyche, or your personal self, a non-physical world that is completely distinct from your physical body. Clearly seeing the difference between your thoughts and emotions is very important. If asked to point to your thoughts, you would point to the area around your head, because thoughts are generated in the mind, which is associated with the brain. But if asked where emotions like love come from, you would point to your heart. That's why Valentine cards have hearts on them. All emotions, not just the nice ones, are generated by the heart. When you are hurt or jealous, you feel the pain in your heart. When you are inspired, you put your whole heart into a project. This is not your physical heart, but your spiritual or energy heart, which we will soon discuss in great depth. Your emotions are not physical. You can be standing next to someone experiencing joy or sadness, and they don't necessarily show it. Emotions are not something you see, they are something you feel. They are completely different from your thoughts. Your mind creates thoughts verbally, through the inner voice, or visually in the mind's eye, but your heart communicates differently. Emotions don't talk to you, they are a feeling, a sensation. That's what an emotion is. You have verbal or visual thoughts in your mind, and you also have these totally different things called emotions emanating from your heart. They are vibrations, more like etheric clouds than the defined objects of thought. They can come up like waves and flush your aura or energy body. Emotions are simply the sensation of experiencing a change in your energy. You are always having inner feelings, but you only tend to notice them when they go to the extremes of love or pain. You have a normal state of emotional energy flowing through your heart all day, and when it changes, you notice. Fear can make your heart fall out from under you. Inspiration can give it wings. As you get more in tune with your emotions, you will notice that, like thoughts, they are almost always there. Just as with thoughts, the questions become, who is it that feels these emotional shifts? How do you know you feel anger or love? You know because you are in there, aware of what is going on. This clarity is very deep and spiritual. You have been so concerned with the emotions themselves that you didn't realize you are the one experiencing them. The goal of this journey is not to change your thoughts or emotions, but for you to stay seated in the seat of self, accepting these different shifts. From this vantage point, the emotions can change, but you don't go anywhere. You remain the one who notices. Who is this one? This is what our journey is about. Spirituality is about spirit, and the seat of self is spirit. When you sit back in the seat of witness consciousness, it is a simple awareness of what is going on in there. You are aware that you hear your thoughts and feel your emotions. Emotions can be like the wind from a gentle breeze to a hurricane. It doesn't take effort to notice them, but it can take effort to handle what you notice. The heart is much more sensitive than the mind, and we have much less control over it. When your heart emanates a particular vibration of energy, your mind will start talking accordingly. It is like a freshwater spring. The energy bubbles up from the source in your heart, and creates ripples and patterns in the mind. What's going on in the heart ends up in the mind as thoughts. The samskaras you stored are trying to release their energy from the heart, and that is what causes the mind to get active. The roots of the samskaras are stored in your heart. The patterns you shoved out of your mind went down further into the source of your energy flow. Very few people understand their heart. Many intellectuals try to suppress it because it is too sensitive and reactive, preferring to live in the mind where they have more control. When you are hurt, you feel an uncomfortable emotion and immediately go to your mind to rationalize it away. Your mind tells your heart, "It's okay, I'll take care of it," directing your awareness to your mind so you don't have to feel the difficult emotions. Consciousness can focus fully on the heart, fully on the mind, or divide its awareness between the two. When emotions are pleasant, you may get lost in the beauty of the heart. When they are unpleasant, you may try to escape into the mind. The mind becomes a place the soul goes to hide from the heart. To transcend this, simply realize that it is always the same conscious awareness experiencing what is going on inside. Psyche is a combination of thoughts from the mind and emotions from the heart, two distinct but intertwined streams of inner experience. Emotions are not thoughts, they are felt vibrations, changes in our energy state that emanate from a spiritual or energy heart. These feelings are the raw data of our inner life, and they are what give rise to the mind's chatter as the samskaras stored in the heart seek release. The goal is not to control or suppress these emotions, but to remain in the seat of self, the calm center of witness consciousness, and simply be aware of them as they arise and pass away. This is the path to moving beyond the turbulent interplay of mind and heart and into the quiet stillness of the spirit. Chapter 22. Why the Heart Opens and Closes. To know your heart, you must first understand that you are not your heart. You are the experiencer of your heart. When love shoots up inside you, what you mean is that you feel a beautiful flow of energy coming up from your heart and bathing you. You are floating in an ocean of love, but you are not the love. You are the experiencer of it. Notice that we haven't yet considered the role of another person. What is actually happening is that your heart is opening. This should drive you to say, "I love love," but instead you say, "I love you." This is the first clue. As long as another person's presence helps your heart open, you feel love for them. If their presence stops opening your heart, you look elsewhere. This is why relationships are so difficult. We project the source of love outside ourselves instead of realizing it is always inside. The actual flow of love has to do with you and your heart. It is an energy flow that you experience inside. While certain people or circumstances can cause your heart to open or close, the action of opening and closing is something your heart is doing, not the other person. The moment we project the source of love outside, everything becomes personal and possessive. To keep feeling the love, we feel we have to keep the other person, which leads to jealousy, need, and dependency. Likewise, if our lover does something we don't like, we feel our heart close and we feel hurt. If you want to continue feeling love, you must learn how to deal with the emotions that open and close the heart. The heart is a sophisticated instrument that few people know how to play. If it opens, they try to possess what helped it open. If it closes, they try to protect themselves from what caused it to close. You notice your heart opening and closing. When it is open, you feel uplifted. When it is closed, life is difficult and painful. Most people don't know how to willfully open their heart. It seems to open and close on its own, and they are left to live with the consequences. Be careful with your heart. The initial rush of an open heart can be so intoxicating that you get carried away. When it closes, the pain can be so intense that your mind starts making up stories, and you get lost listening to the closed heart express itself. Your heart is like an appliance that emanates vibrations of energy. When it is closed, it feels like a rock in your chest. In an attempt to avoid this experience, your mind generates negative thoughts. But what the mind says when the heart is closed is not you. It is just the mind expressing the state of the closed heart. You are the one who notices. The same is true when your heart is in an excited, open state. You are in danger because you think it will never change. But if there was a reason it opened, there is a reason it can close. Everything changes. A truly great being understands this, having spent years objectively observing the heart's behavior, rather than running after what it wants or away from what it doesn't. To fully understand the dynamics of the heart, we must go deeper. In addition to the three things you experience inside, the world, your thoughts, and your emotions, there is a fourth, a very powerful energy flow. In yogic terms, this is called Shakti. Once you quiet down, you will realize this energy is constantly flowing inside you. It is this deeper energy flow, passing through an open heart, that you experience as the sensation of love. The reason this energy fluctuates so much is because of the samskaras you've stored inside. These unfinished energy patterns from the experiences you clung to or resisted act as blockages to your inner energy flow. When your energy, which is always trying to flow up, hits these blockages, it cannot go higher. When a blockage gets hit or activated by a life experience, the energy held in that blockage releases, and you start feeling the emotions and thinking the thoughts associated with that past experience. Your inner state becomes dominated by these unfinished patterns, and you become totally lost in them. The activated samskara takes over your life. For example, if someone says something that reminds you of how your father used to speak to you, what was said didn't bother you, it hit the samskara, and the activated samskara bothered you. To protect yourself from that disturbance, you closed your heart. Your samskaras are what cause your heart to open and close. The heart, the source of our deepest feelings, is not an independent agent, but an energetic instrument whose state is determined by the flow of Shakti and the blockages created by our stored samskaras. Our most profound experiences of love and pain are not caused by others, but by the opening and closing of our own heart in response to the activation of these inner patterns. This understanding shifts the focus of our spiritual work from the outer world of relationships to the inner world of our own stored energy. The key to a consistently open heart lies not in finding the right person or circumstance, but in releasing the samskaras that are blocking the natural upward flow of our own life force. Chapter 23, Dance of the Energy Flow. There is a very important interaction between your inner energy flow and your blockages. The energy is always trying to come up, but it is blocked by the unfinished patterns you have stored from the past. It is these past impressions that determine your preferences. If someone stimulates a negative impression, you will not like them. If they stimulate a positive one, it may be love at first sight. To live this way is very dangerous. You are not in charge of your life. Your past impressions are. If you work on yourself and let go of enough blocked energy patterns, you will begin to experience a constant, powerful flow of energy coursing through your entire system. This is what the Bible means by, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. When you get really open, this energy will flow out of various centers, and you will become a being of light. This happens when the energy is free, unobstructed by personal blockages. The state of your heart, whether it opens or closes, is dependent upon which samskaras are being activated at any given time. Whenever you shove an obstacle into this energy flow, it creates a disturbance, and it is these disturbances that you experience as emotions. If you are feeling a clean flow of love and then your lover says something you resist, your heart will no longer feel love. It will feel anger, fear, or jealousy. These disturbing energy patterns are the direct result of a blockage being hit. The more blockages there are, the more complicated the disturbances become, creating complex and often contradictory emotional states. At some point, enough samskaras can be shoved into the heart that you become totally blocked, tired, and uninspired. This is the power of samskaras. They can totally run our lives. Remember that your energy is always trying to flow. Like a dammed-up river, it tries to find a way around the blockages. To the extent that some energy can navigate a path, you will feel some strength. But this flow is conditioned by its ability to continue. If something stimulates another blockage, the flow will be affected. This is why people have so many moods and cannot be trusted to remain steady. By the time the energy finds a narrow pathway through all the stored stuff, we become very narrow-minded about how the world needs to be to support that flow. Our entire personality, with its particular likes and dislikes, is simply the expression of the pathway the energy managed to find. Our ability to feel love, joy, and inspiration is determined by how much energy makes it through the blockages. Now you understand why your heart is so sensitive. Its opening and closing depends on how well the energy can navigate your stored blockages. If you let this opening and closing run your life, you are not being true to yourself. You are being true to your blockages. Your psyche is the net result of all your blockages and how the energy manages to flow through them. As the energy fluctuates and your heart changes, your thoughts will change, and you will end up lost in there. These stored patterns from the past will dominate your present and determine your future if you are not careful. They will determine where you go, who you marry, and whether you get divorced. You are not determining your path, they are. Understanding this helps explain why personal decisions are so difficult. You are trying to see how a choice will shift the flow of energy through your conflicting blockages, consulting your inner mess and expecting a clear response. The important question is not what to do, but who is noticing all this? There is only one consciousness watching all these competing patterns. When you become one integrated seer, the single witness, you are centered, clear, and free. But when your sense of being is split amongst these diverse inner patterns, things become confusing. It's as if each path the energy takes through your samskaras creates a slightly different personality. You are one person around this friend and another around someone else. People in this state struggle to find themselves, feeling they must choose which personality is the real them. The answer is clear. None of them are you. You are the one who is experiencing the thoughts. There is not a single thing about those shifting energy patterns that is you. The only lasting solution is to realize that it's the same you noticing all of it. Just relax and be the one who notices. Be the one who sees the many. This is the path to self-realization. The intricate dance of our inner life is a constant interplay between the upward flow of our spiritual energy and the stored blockages of our past. Our emotions, our thoughts, our very personality are nothing more than the expression of this conditioned energy flow. To be run by this is to live a life in circles, a prisoner of the past. The way out is not to choose between the fragmented personalities created by this inner chaos, but to disidentify from all of them and return to the seat of the witness. By becoming the one who simply notices, we can begin to untangle ourselves from the dance and find the freedom that lies in the silent, undivided awareness that is our true self. Chapter 24, The Cause of Moods and Emotions. Emotions are generated when your core energy flow, the Shakti, hits a blockage. Imagine a stream flowing with no impediments. The water is even and undisturbed. Now put a rock in the stream. Suddenly, there are eddies, sprays, and split currents, a disturbance in the flow. The same thing happens when we put blockages, or samskaras, in the flow of Shakti. These inner ripples and eddies, combined with the release of the disturbed energy stored in the samskara, are what we call emotions. An emotion is caused by the Shakti hitting a blockage in your heart and releasing the blocked energy. This disturbance is significant enough to draw your attention. Emotions, both positive and negative, are a release of blocked energy. Remember that you stored these samskaras for a reason. You couldn't handle the experience. When something hits these decades-old blockages, they activate and release their pent-up energy, and the resulting emotions and thoughts will be very personal to you. A simple smell can change your entire state because it reminds you of your mother. You now understand where your moods come from. In a state of clarity, there are no moods, only the clean flow of energy. Until you reach that state, it's just one mood after another as the energy shifts due to these stored patterns. From a yogic point of view, 3 things can happen on a daily basis as your energy flows up toward the heart. First, if the energy is totally blocked by samskaras, you won't feel your heart. Many people are so used to focusing on their minds that they suppress the messy and sensitive world of emotions. They don't realize that cleaning out the heart would allow an increased energy flow into the mind, resulting in more inspiration, creativity, and brilliance. Second, the energy can make it into the heart and begin hitting the blockages stored there. making you moody and sensitive. Every once in a while, however, things will line up just right. Someone's appearance or words will stimulate and rearrange your samskaras in such a way that it creates an opening for the energy to come up. This is love at first sight. As the energy rises into the heart, it flows out to connect with what caused it to open. This is a very personal and sensitive experience. You have felt your heart connect with another person, an energy flow tying two hearts together. From a yogic point of view, this is Shakti pouring out of the fourth energy center, the heart chakra. This experience is beautiful, but if all the energy goes out through the heart, it will not have the power to reach the higher centers. The chakras are like T-pipe fittings. If the upper pathway is blocked, the energy will flow out horizontally and connect with whatever stimulated the opening. We like this experience so much that we call it love. This is human love, and spirituality has no intention of taking it away from you. It's beautiful. Just know that there is a higher expression of love. This leads to the third thing that can happen. The energy can make it all the way through the heart. If the energy makes it past the fourth center, there are energy experiences way higher than human love. This doesn't mean you don't connect with people. You connect at a much deeper level. But if you can't work with the heart center, you will never know the higher centers exist. To begin, you must be able to objectively watch as your heart opens and closes, seeing that it is the stored patterns from your past, activated by outside situations, that are causing it to do so. Our moods, attractions, and repulsions are entirely dependent on our past. In our normal state, we are not paying attention to this. We are just being tossed around by it. The turbulent landscape of our emotional life is a direct result of our core energy, the Shakti, interacting with the blockages we have stored in our heart. Our moods, our attractions, and our deepest feelings of love and pain are all manifestations of this energetic dance. The heart, a sensitive and powerful energy center, opens and closes not by chance, but in response to the activation of our samskaras. To move beyond the conditional and often painful experience of human love and into the higher realms of consciousness, we must learn to witness this process without getting lost in it. This marks a pivotal shift in our journey, as we now turn from understanding the nature of our blockages to the practical work of releasing them and allowing our energy to flow freely. Chapter 25, The Secrets of the Heart. We are now ready to go deeper into the secrets of the heart. From our earlier explorations, you recognize that the energy can flow out for a while and create the sensation of love. You also understand that because the opening of the heart is conditional upon the state of your blockages, this energy flow is also conditional and will generally not last. Yet, it is possible to experience great love all the time. All it requires is a willingness to work on yourself to remove the reason your heart tends to close. Storing samskaras is serious business with serious consequences. If you want love to last, you must learn to handle the situations that cause your heart to close, rather than letting resentments build. This is a secret of the heart that is best to remember. Another very important thing to understand is that the outward flow of energy through the heart literally makes a connection with another person. This connection is real, and as energy is exchanged, you become attached. This is not a physical attachment, but a reliance on the energy flowing between your hearts. Let's look at this in detail. Your heart was closed because stored patterns were blocking the energy flow. Then someone comes along whose qualities hit you just right, and the energy finds a pathway around one of your major blockages. The blockage is not gone, but a pathway has opened, allowing energy to flow out through the heart. That energy goes out toward the other person, and their energy comes out toward you. With their help, you have managed to experience what you would be experiencing if the original blockage was not there. Perhaps you felt unlovable. Now someone admires you and you melt in their gaze. Though this is beautiful, the samskara that was blocking your energy is still there. The energy only found a way around it, and this bypass only works as long as the energy exchange with this person continues. You are now attached to and dependent on that person. If they start to leave, or you even think about losing them, you will feel that original samskara again in all its glory. You have tied your energy flow to somebody else, and the state of your heart is now dependent upon their behavior. This is called human love. It is very beautiful, but it is conditional. Fortunately, there is a much higher form of love that is unconditional and can last forever. The greatest secret of the heart is revealed when you get rid of the samskaras instead of finding a way around them. If you get rid of the blockages that restrict the energy, you will feel love all the time. It will always be brimming through you. Love will become the core of your being. Then you can share this beautiful love without attachment or need, because it is not dependent on anyone or anything else. You are whole and complete within yourself. This is self-effulgence. To reach this state, you must do the necessary work to release your samskaras instead of constantly trying to find a way around them. The energy flow through the lower part of the heart, what we can call the human heart, can create the entire range of human emotions. Energy blocked in this lower part can be experienced as jealousy, insecurity, or yearning. Even anger is the result of a strong energy flow hitting a blockage. If the heart is open enough for the energy to flow out horizontally from the middle of the heart chakra, it is experienced as human love. It is all the same energy. The only difference is how it is blocked. There is, however, another level of the heart that can be experienced when the upward energy flow is strong enough to pass through the middle of the heart without going out horizontally. The samskaras must be thinned out enough for the energy to pierce into the higher part of the heart, generating a permanent experience of pure love, strength, and well-being. This is the realm of the spiritual heart. When the Shakti flows through this higher part of the fourth chakra, you begin to feel what has been described as the presence of God. You no longer experience yourself as human, but as a being of energy. Love is no longer for somebody. It is a natural force in the universe, feeding you from inside. We now know what it means to open your heart. It means to stop closing it. Your heart's natural state is open, just as the natural state of water in a stream is to flow freely. If something is blocking the stream, you don't try to make the water flow around it. You remove it. The same is true of the flow of Shakti through the heart. Just remove the blockages, and love will be your natural state. This is spiritual purification. As you remove your blockages, love will no longer be something you need or look for. It will have nothing to do with another person or your job. You will feel love and inspiration all the time, and you will find that the natural state of your being is to love everything you do and everyone you see. You will no longer live solely off what is coming in from the outside. Your energy will come from within, effortlessly, from its source. Your heart is one of the most beautiful things in creation. Chapter 26, The Human Predicament. The most meaningful questions about your quality of life are not about what you own or what you do, but about how you're doing inside. Most people can relate to the feeling that while there are moments of profound beauty, there are also moments they don't want to last for another second. In general, most of life is spent just trying to keep it okay in there. Such is the human predicament. Throughout our lives, we have stored patterns inside ourselves, samskaras, based on past experiences we resisted. We then use these stored patterns to build a self-concept, a collection of likes and dislikes, and a model of how the world needs to be for us to feel okay. If we succeed in making the world match our model, it's generally nice inside. If we don't, it's not. It is important to understand that every external event is an expression of energy. When this energy comes into you, it must pass through your mind and heart. But when you use your will to block an experience, the energy cannot stand still. It is forced to circle around itself. This is how samskaras are formed. These stored patterns from the past are constantly trying to release, and this alone causes suffering. To avoid this, you commit a major part of your life to creating situations that make it comfortable inside, relying on your brilliant analytical mind to figure out how to be okay. Your mind plays make-believe, imagining how the world needs to be to best fit your blockages. Everything going on in your personal mind is an attempt to either match the stored patterns that will make you feel better or avoid the ones that will make you feel worse. Either way, the stored patterns are running your life. You now have a deeper understanding of the predicament. You're in there, you're not okay in there, and you have developed concepts of how everything needs to be for you to be okay in there. A perfect example of this is worrying. You worry that you won't get what you want, or that you will get what you don't want. This drives you to work in the outside world to satisfy these needs. But the root of the discomfort is your stored patterns. Trying to appease these inner patterns with outer things does not get rid of them. It reinforces your commitment to them. Feeling lonely and seeking a special person to solve it is like having a stomachache from poor eating habits and looking for Pepto-Bismol. The Pepto-Bismol is a temporary compensation, not a cure for the root cause. Unless you change your eating habits, the stomachache will return. Eventually, we wake up and realize that compensating for what's wrong is not good enough. We must solve the root cause of why we are not okay. There is a state within you that is always filled with love and a sense of happiness, what Yogananda called ever-new joy. This is the solution to every problem you're having inside. Make it beautiful in there. Instead of thinking a new job or a new relationship will do it, you must do the necessary inner work. Your problems all start with, "I'm not okay in here." If you were okay, you would be enjoying the beauty of the experience you're having. This doesn't mean you don't interact with the world. You just don't interact with it in an attempt to solve your inner problems. The outside world cannot solve your inner blockages. It can only temporarily allow the energy to go around them. Working on releasing inner blockages instead of struggling with life can seem like something is being taken away. But if what is being taken away is the cause of your suffering, this should not be a problem. It is not an act of renunciation. It is simple wisdom. You can still get married, have a job, and put your heart into what you're doing, but not for the purpose of solving your inner problems. If you get upset about what you see in a Rorschach ink blot, the solution is not to tell the psychologist to put the paper away. Yet trying to solve inner problems by rearranging the outside is exactly what everybody is doing. Having explored the depths of the heart and the intricacies of the personal mind, we arrive at a stark diagnosis of the human condition. Trapped by the unfinished patterns of the past, we have turned the brilliant instrument of the mind against ourselves, engaging in a futile war with reality in a desperate attempt to feel okay. This struggle, this constant effort to compensate for an inner lack by manipulating the outer world, is the very essence of our predicament. But to diagnose a problem is to be halfway to its solution. Recognizing the true root of our suffering, the stored blockages within, is the first and most crucial step on the journey beyond the predicament and into a life of inner freedom and joy. Chapter 27, The Paradigm Shift. Everyone wants to improve their experience of life. Imagine an all-powerful force asked you to write down what needs to happen for you to totally enjoy your life. If you're like most people, your list would include a new house, a special relationship, a higher-paying job. But if you examine this list more closely, you will see that it's not what you really want. Your mind has played a trick on you. Say you get the dream wedding, the beautiful house, and the fancy cars, but your new spouse turns out to be a real jerk. It's the worst marriage in history. Do you still want that wedding? Unlikely. It wasn't the marriage you wanted. It was the beautiful experience you thought the marriage would give you. Why didn't you ask for that? The same is true for the new job or the $1 million. What if they bring so much stress and worry that you're miserable? You didn't really want the job or the money. You wanted the happiness, joy, and well-being you thought they would give you. Why not ask for that directly? Why not ask for a constant inner state of love, beauty, and inspiration at the highest level you've ever experienced? What you did was allow your past experiences to define what you think will make you happy. But it doesn't work that way. For your whole life, you've been saying, if I get this, I'll be okay. When will you realize that it doesn't work? Why not go directly to the root and say, what I want is to feel love and joy. What I want is to feel complete well-being every moment of every day. Now there's a list. Let's turn that one in. This experiment has led us away from worldliness and into the essence of spirituality. Worldliness just means you think the answer is in the world, in what's unfolding in front of you. It doesn't work because you're just trying to find something outside that matches your samskara of the day. Once you get what you want, there will always be the next issue coming to the surface. Eventually, you wake up. You realize that you want to feel love all the time, a love that is not dependent on anything or anyone. We call that unconditional love. The great yoga master Meher Baba taught that pure love must spring spontaneously from within, not dependent upon anything. Otherwise, it's just a temporary situation that happens to match your stored patterns, and it will not last. This is why relationships are so complicated. Each person's past samskaras are different, and they are both adding to their collection every day. If your feeling of love is dependent on your partner behaving a certain way, you're in trouble. This doesn't mean you can't have beautiful, meaningful relationships that last forever, but they are not samskara relationships, based on the world matching your inner patterns. They are based on unconditional love. Once love is always flowing freely inside of you, you will be pleased to share it, not based on needs or expectations, but on pure love wishing to express itself. How do you reach this state? Instead of trying to get the world to match your blockages, you work on letting go of the blockages. That is the secret of real spiritual growth. That is the real paradigm shift. If you don't have the samskaras, nothing will be blocking your inner energy flow. You will feel love, joy, and inspiration all the time. You only have two choices. Devote your life to getting the world to match your samskaras, or devote your life to letting go of your samskaras. If you choose the latter, you don't have a worldly life and a spiritual life. You have one life. Work, meditation, taking out the garbage, it's all the same. In every single moment, you are either naturally enjoying what is, or letting go of what's keeping you from enjoying what is. If you let go of the wants and fears that are limiting you, you'll always be okay. Letting go of yourself, instead of serving yourself, is the real paradigm shift. The final turn in our journey away from the human predicament and toward a life of freedom is a fundamental reorientation of our deepest desires. We have been chasing proxies, the house, the job, the relationship, mistaking them for the inner states of joy and love we truly seek. The paradigm shift is the realization that the source of these states is not in the world, but within. It is the conscious choice to stop trying to manipulate the outside to match our inner patterns, and to instead devote our lives to releasing those patterns. This is the path to unconditional love, a state of constant inner well-being that is not dependent on anything external. In this state, all of life becomes an opportunity for spiritual growth, a continuous process of letting go that allows us to finally and fully enjoy the gift of the present moment. Chapter 28, Working with the Heart. We interact with life every waking moment. If we are committed to spiritual growth, we must learn to use that interaction to clear out our blockages, which inevitably returns us to the heart. Your heart experiences a myriad of emotions based on the samskaras you have accumulated, and your inability to handle this breadth of feeling keeps you locked in the human predicament of controlling life in order to be okay. To break free, you must learn to clear out your heart. The purification of the heart begins with being grateful that you have one. It is like an orchestra, adding richness to your life by playing high and low notes that are appropriate to the events unfolding before you. Your heart is not an obstacle. It is a beautiful gift. The human heart is even more extraordinary than the human mind. It can go from absolute ecstasy to deep pain in a matter of seconds. The trouble is, you're not okay with its full range. You want to control it so it only plays the notes you can handle. Spirituality is about learning to thank your heart for its beautiful expressions, even when you are not willing to experience them. Just as you resist the world when it is not how you want, you resist your heart when you are not comfortable with its expressions. As you grow spiritually, your range of comfort with the outside world and with your heart will expand. You will learn to become more comfortable with your heart. As a child, you may have been overwhelmed by fear, but over time, you became more accustomed to it. Little by little, as you learn to accept that emotions are a reality of life, they will come and go if you let them. This is spiritual evolution. Just as our bodies have evolved through outer challenges, Our souls evolve through the fires of inner experiences. A great being is not without emotions. They are at peace with them. When someone you care about dies, it is natural to feel sadness. That is your heart expressing itself in harmony with what's happening. The problem is not the emotion itself, but your inability to handle it. We come back to the same choice. Devote your life to controlling the world so your heart never feels what you can't handle, or devote yourself to the evolutionary work of becoming comfortable with your heart. To work with your heart, you must understand why it is the way it is. It is sensitive and volatile because you didn't handle the natural emotions it created. You resisted them, storing their energy inside. These blocked energy patterns have made a mess of your heart, throwing it out of balance. When you suppress a healthy fear, for instance, your emotions are no longer in harmony with outer situations. Instead, they are just releasing blocked energies from the past. Spiritual growth is about fixing the heart and returning it to a state of well-being. The problem is not in the world. It is your inability to handle your heart's full expression. Feelings of loss, fear, or anger are just objects of consciousness that the self is experiencing. They cannot harm you unless you resist them. Every experience makes you a greater person if you don't resist it. It may seem impossible to be comfortable with uncomfortable emotions, but you already have experience doing that. When you watch a heart-wrenching performance of Romeo and Juliet, you cry, and it touches you so deeply that you tell all your friends to see it. You praise the depth of the emotion. But if a tragedy even close to that happened in real life, you would be scarred for life. That is the difference between accepting the expression of your heart and resisting it. Creation has put a full orchestra inside you, free of charge. Learn to enjoy your heart by ceasing to resist it. It's not about losing yourself in your emotions, but about being willing to experience them in the same way you experience a sunset. You simply let the experience come in. The process is the same. Consciousness is experiencing an object of consciousness. If you cling to it, it stays. If you suppress it, it stays. If it stays, it will distort reality. These samskaras are powerful packets of energy that rot down there, popping up at different times to cause serious problems. Learning to make peace with your heart is a major step toward extricating yourself from the human predicament. Having journeyed through the mind and into the heart, we now arrive at the practical core of our spiritual work. The heart, with its vast and beautiful range of expression, is not an enemy to be controlled, but a gift to be embraced. The path to freedom lies not in silencing the orchestra, but in learning to listen to its entire symphony, the joyful and the sorrowful, without resistance. This is the work of spiritual evolution. To become so comfortable with the full range of your heart's expressions that you can finally let go of the need to control the world and instead allow life to flow through you, enriching and expanding your very being. Chapter 29. Neither suppression nor expression. While you don't want to suppress emotions, you also don't want them running your life. There is a sacred place between suppression and expression, pure experience. In this state, you are neither suppressing the energy internally nor expressing it externally. You are simply willing to experience the energy coming from your heart and mind. The sorrow of death and the joy of birth are both coming up inside, touching you to the core of your being. It is all a gift. The mind is free to think, the heart is free to feel, and all of this leaves you at peace in a state of gratitude. This is the way life is meant to be. Yet, you can't handle certain thoughts and emotions. You resist them and build a mental world around what you have stored. In this state, you only feel gratitude when you get what you want. Eventually, you wake up and realize that you have real work to do. Inside work. To get what you really want, joy, love, and passion for every moment, you need to get these stored patterns out. But your mind will fight back because this inner path doesn't fit its habitual patterns for how to be okay. The mind only knows what it has experienced, and it doesn't know what it hasn't, an infinitely larger body of knowledge. This is why a wise person does not argue. They are humble enough to realize their data is statistically insignificant. Deep spiritual teachings embrace this truth. They ask you to accept the reality in front of you, a moment that took billions of years to manifest, and to surrender your initial resistance to it. Then let go of all the stuff that comes up due to your stored samskaras. When your mind starts talking about likes and dislikes, just don't listen. You are surrendering to reality, to what is real, versus the leftover mental impressions that are simply thoughts. The way to deal with these impressions is to realize they are perfectly natural. Reality will come in, it will hit your blockages, and your mind will talk about it. Fine. You don't have to listen. A wise person doesn't renounce the world or their mind. They just don't listen to the personal mind, because its efforts to solve your problems, based on its limited data, don't generally work out so well. Regarding the heart, a wise person allows it to freely express itself inwardly, but does not get lost in it. The personal heart is all over the place. Fortunately, there is a higher heart to follow. Once energy flows past the middle of the fourth chakra, it enters a deeper heart that never changes. This is the gift of your spiritual heart, a constant upward flow of beautiful energy that brings a peace that surpasses all understanding, a peace that is completely unconditional. To experience this, you must learn to rise above your personal heart. Check if your heart's expressions are based on current reality or on thoughts about the past and future. If your emotions are in harmony with the reality unfolding before you, they are healthy. When both heart and mind are in harmony with reality, energies don't release outwardly because nothing is blocking them. The power of these unblocked energies can then be utilized to rise into the higher parts of the heart. You are neither suppressing nor expressing. You are simply in a beautiful moment-to-moment interaction with reality, serving the flow of life. Reaching this state requires clearing out the samskaras. To do this, you must learn to handle your heart, which takes practice. It requires a change in attitude. You begin to accept that things will happen, they will hit your heart, and your mind will create thoughts to release the built-up energies. You commit to being okay with this process. This is not suppression or getting lost in the emotions. It is honoring what the heart is doing and learning to relax behind it. Emotions become like a breeze blowing across your face, nothing to do but experience the experience. Appreciate the work your heart is doing to push out the samskaras. It is not easy to relax in the face of what you've spent your life avoiding, but the reward is love, freedom, and constant inspiration. The bottom line is that you're a beautiful being. You are made in the image of God. You're just lost thinking that the world has to be a certain way for you to be okay. This is the human predicament, and to get out of it, the work is on yourself. As Rumi said, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I'm changing myself." The path to liberation from the human predicament is a subtle middle way, a sacred space between the extremes of suppressing our inner world and being controlled by it. It is the path of pure experience, of allowing the full spectrum of thoughts and emotions to arise and pass without resistance or clinging. This requires a profound shift in attitude, a willingness to work with the heart as it purifies itself of past blockages. The ultimate goal is not to silence the mind or tame the heart, but to rise above the personal to the spiritual, to find the unconditional peace of the higher heart, and to live in harmony with the reality that is, not the reality we think it should be. This is the work of true spiritual growth, and the journey now turns to the practical steps of this inner work. Learning to let go. Chapter 30. Techniques for freeing yourself. Logically, it doesn't make sense to store inside of you the experiences that bothered you the most. Yet that is what we do, building an internal house of horrors that makes it a struggle to be comfortable inside. This is the root cause of all anxiety, tension, and psychological disturbances, and it cannot be fixed until you deal with it at its root. As long as you are holding inside of you what bothered you 10 or 20 years ago, you are going to suffer. Once your intent is to use every moment of your life to free yourself, the question becomes how to do that. A sincere intent to be free is more important than any technique. You are in there, and you realize you don't want these blockages, so you commit to letting them go. There are powerful techniques for freeing yourself in your everyday life, and we will discuss 3 of them. The first is positive thinking. Yogananda taught that every time you have a negative thought, you should replace it with a positive one. This is based on the distinction between automatic and willful thoughts. When you notice your mind automatically generating negative thoughts, you can purposely create positive ones to replace them. If someone is driving slowly in front of you, instead of getting upset, you can willfully think, "Wow, what an opportunity to relax." You are not fighting the mind, but simply replacing its automatic thoughts with willfully created ones. Over time, this will develop a more positive mind, a much nicer environment to live in. The next technique is mantra, which means training your mind to repeat a simple word or phrase until it gets stuck, like a song. The mind works in layers, and mantra offers you a layer that is always there, balanced, pleasant, and a safe place to rest. When habitual thoughts arise from your samskaras, you don't have to fight or replace them. You simply shift your consciousness onto the mantra. The mantra does not have to be a traditional Sanskrit one. It can be a name for God, or a simple phrase like, "I'm always fine." All it takes to instill a mantra is repetition. You can tie it to your breath, say it before you pick up the phone, or when you get in your car. When a fateful day arrives and you are on the verge of losing it, the mantra will catch your attention and give you the choice to go down into the mess or up into the peace. It is a safety net, a built-in vacation from the personal mind where you can learn to surrender the hold that mind has on you. The final technique is witness consciousness, which includes the powerful practice of relaxing and releasing. This is deeper than the other techniques because it doesn't require working with the mind. It is simply noticing that you are noticing what the mind is doing. To do this, you cannot be disturbed by the thoughts being created. You must be willing to let the thoughts be as they are and simply be aware that you are aware of them. To experience this, just look in front of you. Don't think about what you see, just see it. That is witness consciousness. Now simply notice the thoughts and emotions that come up by themselves. When you reach this state, you may notice a tendency to want to willfully do something about the inner disturbances. If you want to do something, here's what you do. Relax. This is not intuitive, but struggling with the disturbance just makes it worse. You who notices the disturbance are not the disturbance. You are in the seat of awareness, watching the dance of mind and heart. Don't think about it, just relax. Relax your body, and most importantly, relax your heart. Use your will to relax and release. When you do this, you are providing space for the release of the samskaras causing the disturbance. You are creating distance between the seat of self and the noisy mind. Spirituality is not about changing the objects you're looking at. It's about accepting them, but not getting sucked into them. It's about being detached and at peace with whatever your mind and heart are doing. Once you're okay in there, the mind has much less to talk about. The first step is to relax, then lean away. You who notices are at a distance from what you are noticing. Just relax and lean away from the noise of the mind and emotions. In that distance, the samskaras have room to release their energy. It's going to get uncomfortable. They were stored with pain, and they will release with pain if you let them. This is the pain that ends all pain. Having carried our exploration through the layers of the self and the universe, we arrive at the practical application of this profound knowledge. The human predicament, born of stored patterns and a mind at war with reality, is not an inescapable fate. Through the willful cultivation of positive thoughts, the steadying practice of mantra, and the deep surrender of witness consciousness, we can begin to free ourselves. The path is not one of battle, but of release. It is a journey of learning to relax in the face of our inner storms, creating the space for our stored pains to finally pass through and dissolve. This is the ultimate act of self-liberation, the final step in a journey that has taken us from the outer reaches of the cosmos to the deepest secrets of the heart, and now into the quiet, unshakable peace of our own being. Chapter 31, Low-Hanging Fruit. The best way to let go of stored pockets of pain is to practice. You start with simple things, what we call the low-hanging fruit. There are many situations each day where you create inner disturbance for no good reason, like bothering yourself about the car in front of you. The cost-benefit analysis is 100% cost and 0 benefit. Letting go of this tendency should be easy, but it's not. You are in the habit of insisting that things should be the way you want, even when it's irrational. But things are the way they are because of all the influences that made them that way. If you are wise, you will start to change your reactions to reality instead of fighting with it. By doing so, you will change your relationship with yourself and with everything else. Start with the small things to prove to yourself that you are capable of this. Once you can relax and release through the relatively easy stuff, you will be better able to deal with the bigger situations. You are training yourself to deal with yourself. A good practice for letting go can be found in your relationship with the weather. Believe it or not, you can use the weather for tremendous spiritual growth. The weather has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the forces that are causing it to be the way it is. If you can't handle the weather without getting disturbed, how are you going to handle anything else? Complaining about the weather has a 100% cost and zero benefit. Eventually, you start to work with yourself. When your mind complains about the heat, don't fight it. You can use positive thinking, using your higher mind to appreciate the reality of the star 93 million miles away that is so hot you can feel its heat. This is a constructive use of your mind. But ultimately, what you need to do is relax and release past the disturbance. If you do this, you won't be so hot. After all, you in there can't get hot. You can only experience that the body is hot. You are way back inside, witnessing the experience of heat. If you relax and release back into your seat of consciousness, you are relaxing away from the part of you that's complaining. Two things happen when you relax and release. First, you stop fighting with the causes of your disturbed mind, which gives them room to release. Second, you are actually relaxing back into the seat of self, and you will grow spiritually. If you can do that with the weather, you can do it with all the low-hanging fruit situations, and you'll grow every single day. The way to know you are working with low-hanging fruit is that the situation is resolved simply by letting go inside. You were the only problem, and once you let go of creating the problem is solved. In contrast, if you let go of your reactions to a situation like losing your job and there's still something to deal with, then you have work to do outside. Letting go of your personal reactions does not absolve you of your responsibilities. It actually clears your ability to make good decisions. When all is said and done, you will find that the majority of your inner disturbance falls into the category of low-hanging fruit. The only reason there's a problem is because you defined it that way. You are the problem, and that can only be solved inside. The path to freedom begins not with heroic battles against our deepest traumas, but with the simple, consistent practice of letting go of the small, everyday disturbances. By starting with the low-hanging fruit, the traffic, the weather, the minor annoyances, we train ourselves in the art of non-resistance. This practice of relaxing and releasing past the habitual chatter of the personal mind allows us to return to the seat of self, the place of quiet observation from which we can witness our inner world without getting lost in it. Each small act of letting go is a step in our spiritual evolution, a conscious choice to stop fighting with reality and instead to grow in harmony with it. Chapter 32, The Past. When a billboard reminds you of something that troubled you 8 years ago, what is the benefit of getting disturbed? You have just ruined your day for no good reason. Just because something bothered you in the past doesn't mean it should still be bothering you now. You think you need to remember how bad it was so you won't go through it again. That's like taking a doggy bag for food that made you sick so you can taste it every morning. Why do you do this with bad experiences? Your past is another area ripe for spiritual growth, one that also falls under the category of 100% cost and zero benefit. There is no benefit to being bothered by something that is not even happening, but there is an amazing cost: your entire mental, emotional, and physical health. If you let experiences pass completely through you when they are happening, they become a part of you without leaving any scars. You learn from them and grow. Once you fully digest an experience, you will naturally know how to deal with it if it happens again. You don't need to keep the painful memory of touching a hot stove in the forefront of your mind to know not to do it again. If you process your experiences properly, they will always be there to serve you, never to haunt you. To understand what it means to fully process something, consider the difference between consciousness just seeing and the mind trying to process what is seen. You can glance at a scene and instantly see it in all its intricate detail, but it would take a very long time to describe it all. When you have an experience, it can simply come in and touch consciousness directly, without the mind judging it and storing it. You can integrate the fullness of your experiences into your being without blocking them in your mind. To achieve deep spirituality, your unfinished past cannot be inside of you. It must be gone, not suppressed, but gone. When those block patterns are gone, all that is left is the flow of spirit. How do you let go of the past? It's very straightforward. The past blockages will come up on their own, and when they do, let them go. Outside events will hit your samskaras. Good, let them come up. The world is a perfect fit for everyone's growth because everyone is looking at the world through their own blockages, like a Rorschach test. To see what is really out there, you need to get rid of your inner issues. Scientists tell us there is really just a quantum field of pure energy out there. The structures it creates come in through your senses, hit your stored blockages, and it gets uncomfortable inside. To free yourself, the moment you notice a disturbance, let go. Don't wait. You feel when something starts to bother you. That is the moment when you do the work. This is the essence of spiritual growth. If you work on yourself directly, you will create a beautiful place inside to live, which is more important than your marriage, your family, or your job. If you have a mess inside, you will just be using these outer situations to try to make yourself okay. When the stuff starts to come up, the second you feel that change, relax. Don't even wait until you know what it's about. Relax and let go. You can work with samskaras at the energetic level. They don't want to be in there. They want to be released. Surrender is the act of letting go instead of resisting. It won't always be comfortable, but are you going to push them back down for another 10 years? Eventually, you will take it seriously that the purpose of your life is letting go of these stored patterns. It is not about renunciation. It is about purification. It's about cleaning out the inside so you can have a beautiful life. At some point, you will recognize that freeing yourself is worth the discomfort. Imagine not having those sensitive blockages, being able to enjoy the world as it unfolds, and wholeheartedly participating in life. What is that worth? This is what happens when you are willing to let go of your past. You should be able to look back on your past and say, "Thank you." It doesn't matter what happened. You came to Earth, and this was the sequence of experiences you got to have. Learn to love and appreciate your past. Fully embrace it, thank it for teaching you, and let go of any judgment that there was something wrong with it. Your past is uniquely yours. It happened. It's sacred. It's beautiful. Embrace your past, hug it, kiss it, love it to death. The work of letting go now turns to the most stubborn of our inner blockages, the past. We have seen how undigested experiences become stored samskaras, distorting our present and creating a life of suffering. The solution is not to avoid the past, but to fully process and release it. This is a practice of surrender, of relaxing and letting go the moment a disturbance arises, allowing the stored energy to finally pass through. By embracing this path of purification, we can transform our relationship with our past from a source of pain into a source of wisdom and gratitude, ultimately freeing ourselves to live fully in the ever-present flow of spirit. Chapter 33, Meditation. Many practices can help you on your spiritual journey. As you do them, always remember that your intent is to cease storing blockages. A time-honored technique for spiritual growth is meditation. To meditate, you must let go of your traditional relationship with your mind and emotions. The bottom line of all forms of meditation is letting go of your addiction to focusing on your thoughts. You focus on your breath, a mantra, the energy, anything except the thoughts arising in your mind. As you practice meditation, your ability to let go during daily life is greatly enhanced. Relaxing and releasing on the cushion is the same process as relaxing and releasing during daily activity. Eventually, you will remain clearer throughout the day, always aware of what is going on both inside and out. If you don't have a technique, you can try this simple practice. Commit to sitting down for a short period twice a day, preferably at the same times. This requires the discipline to give this inner work priority over everything else. 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening is a good starting point. What do you do during that time? You don't expect to have a spiritual experience. You are sitting down to learn how to remain conscious inside while your mind creates thoughts and your heart creates emotions. Whatever is going on in there is fine, as long as you can objectively observe it. This is mindful meditation. If your mind doesn't shut up, that's a pretty good state. You know you're not your mind. You have witnessed the thoughts instead of getting lost in them. There is no such thing as a bad meditation, only practicing being aware of what is going on in there. You are learning to be at peace with what used to drive you crazy. To appreciate the purpose of spiritual techniques, you must realize that you are addicted to your mind, addicted to every single word it says. Changing this relationship is a major part of the spiritual journey. You don't do this by fighting the mind, but by learning not to listen to it. You are the consciousness, and the mind is the object of consciousness. You must be able to withdraw your attention from the mind, even when it is talking. The easiest way is to pay attention to something else, like your breath. If you try this, you will see how strong your addiction is. One moment you are watching your breath, the next you are lost in your thoughts. The reason you lose focus is that consciousness gets distracted by what the mind is saying. The moment you catch on, don't get down on yourself. Just start watching your breath again. The entire purpose is to practice gaining control of your attention. To help you notice sooner when you have drifted, you can add another element, counting your breaths. Count a round of inhale-exhale as 1, up to 25, and then start over. This requires you to be present. Meditation is easy if you understand that it's not about having spiritual experiences. It's about practicing being present. If you do this regularly, you will find that you are consciously aware during the day when your samskaras get hit. Now it's just a question of your level of commitment. Every single time you start to get disturbed, are you willing to relax and release, or do you still need to go through another round of expressing and defending your blockages? Having traversed the vast inner landscape of the self, we arrive at the practical and essential technique of meditation. This is not a mystical practice for achieving altered states, but a foundational discipline for changing your relationship with your mind. By consistently choosing to withdraw your attention from the incessant stream of thoughts and placing it on a neutral anchor like the breath, you begin to break the addiction that has kept you a prisoner of your personal mind. Meditation is the training ground for witness consciousness, the daily practice that builds the strength and clarity needed to navigate the challenges of life from a place of centered peace. It is the core technique that makes the entire journey of letting go not just a beautiful theory, but a lived reality. Chapter 34, Handling the Bigger Stuff. Real spiritual practice entails devoting every moment of your life to your liberation. Life is your real guru, constantly challenging you to either move further away from self or come back to self. Everything that happens is an opportunity to get better at freeing yourself from yourself. If you sincerely work on releasing the low-hanging fruit and remain centered in the seat of self as your past samskaras are released, you will become a more conscious being. You will no longer have to come back to center after a difficult conversation. You will remain centered during the entire experience. Make this the most important thing in your life, because it is. It is the only rational way to live. If you constantly let go, you will eventually achieve a state of perpetual presence, established in the seat of self, and you will never leave that seat again. No matter what happens, all that stuff can still come up, but you will have the power to decide what to do about it. There will be a space you never had before between the event and your reaction. Things will start to unfold as if in slow motion, giving you time to relax and let go. As you let go of the small stuff, the bigger things will come up all by themselves. You may have intense dreams or feel powerful emotions for no apparent reason. Good. It is simply the Shakti, your inner energy, trying to push up because you have given her the room to do so. She is your best friend, always trying to help you. You don't need to do anything except keep letting go. What if something really bad happens? The house catches fire. You lose your job. What do? First, let go. Always let go of your human reaction first. If you are upset and cannot deal with the situation, what good are you? First, let go of your personal reaction so that you can serve the situation to the best of your ability. Let's take a real-life example. Your 16-year-old son has been caught with drugs in his school locker. Your mind might start a personal melodrama. How could he do this to me? What did I do wrong? But those are your problems, your blockages, and you need to let them go. You are not supposed to interact with the world based on your inner blockages. If you do, you will make every decision based on what makes you feel better, not what is best for the situation. The way to handle difficult situations is to let go of your entire personal reaction. Go to the principal's office not to protect yourself, but because your son needs help. You can't do this if you're focusing on your personal embarrassment and fears. Bottom line, you let go of the personal so you can interact properly with what's in front of you. The process of letting go becomes how you work on yourself. Your only decision is, are you going to let go or not? The blockages inside you are nothing but leftover samskaras, and they will tend to lead you in the wrong direction. Learn to express your higher self, the deeper part of your being that's in harmony with life. Keep letting go. The entire spiritual path is letting go of yourself. If you let go of the samskaras inside of you, they will no longer affect your life. You can truly be free of your past. This is what living untethered means. It means to let go of yourself, to transcend your personal self as Buddha taught, to die to be reborn as Christ taught. It is the essence of all spiritual teachings, and it is the truth. Everyone is capable of freeing themselves if they are willing to do the inner work. As we bring our exploration of the inner world to a close, we arrive at the ultimate application of these teachings, handling the bigger stuff of life. The daily practice of letting go, which begins with the low-hanging fruit, prepares us for the inevitable challenges and crises that life presents. By learning to release our personal reactions in the moment they arise, we create a space of clarity from which we can respond to any situation with wisdom and compassion. This is the essence of living a spiritual life, a life devoted not to avoiding pain, but to transcending the self that creates it. The journey of letting go is the journey of dying to the old, conditioned self and being reborn into the freedom and peace of our true nature. This is not just a philosophy, but a practical path to living a life of acceptance. Chapter 35, Dealing with Blocked Energies. One thing is certain, we are all conscious inside. The question is, what are we conscious of? Everyone is aware of the constantly changing inner energies that can be overwhelming. To stay upright in life, people either push these energies away or try to release them through outer expression. Both efforts cause their own problems, but they are better than drowning inside. Like a drowning person grabbing for a floating board, most people live their lives grabbing onto something outside themselves so they don't sink. They think if others respected them, or if someone would just truly love them, it wouldn't be so caustic inside. The problem is, if they manage to get what they want, they grab a hold for dear life, which creates its own issues. And if the outside world stops giving them what they want, they start to drown again. To see how much you cling to the outside world to avoid drowning inside, just observe what happens when the world doesn't unfold as you expect. When someone close to you behaves in a way that doesn't align with your model, your mind and heart catch fire. All it takes is the thought, what if my husband leaves me? And you feel pain and disturbance. This happens because you have been trying to build a place of solidity within your mind that you can hold on to. And you have distanced yourself from the core of your being by clinging to something outside. This is what we do, and it doesn't work. If you want to grow spiritually and have a beautiful life instead of a midlife crisis, you need to do the inner work. A midlife crisis is the perfectly reasonable realization that halfway through your life, after all the building and clinging, you're still not okay. You are only conditionally okay, and you know it can all change on a dime. The alternative is to clean up the mess inside. Someday you will realize you are not drowning. You are simply sitting on a phenomenal planet spinning in the middle of absolutely nowhere. You won the lottery. You drop down onto this unbelievably amazing planet, and yet you suffer. Why? It's not the planet causing you to suffer. It's the stuff you have stored inside. Why are you storing all this stuff? And if you're going to store stuff, why not make it nice stuff? You had a brilliant idea for a hobby, to collect every bad experience you ever had and keep it inside so it can bother you for the rest of your life. If you keep doing this, your life will only get heavier and heavier. Are you really going to continue making your life so difficult? You are causing yourself to be unhappy and then demanding that the world somehow make you happy. It's that simple. You have to work on letting go of the root cause of suffering. The spiritual path is always about letting go of yourself, and that means dealing with the blocked energies. These blocked energies will build up and need release. If you don't deal with them consciously, they may release as uncontrolled bursts of anger or fighting. When you allow this to happen, you are not in charge. The energies follow the path of least resistance, determined by the samskaras, carving channels within you that make it easier for the energy to flow that way again. Understanding this process helps us have compassion for ourselves and for others. Compassion means you understand the root cause of people's behavior. People have trouble handling their blocked energies and have not been taught how to channel them to a higher level. There is a higher level of our being, and these lower energies can be raised up. Your choices are not limited to expression or suppression. There is a third choice, transmutation, and that's where true spirituality comes in. The final leg of our journey has brought us to the most direct confrontation with our inner predicament. We are not drowning victims in a hostile world, but inhabitants of a paradise, carrying a self-inflicted burden of stored pain. The constant struggle to find solid ground outside is a futile attempt to avoid the mess inside. The only true path to freedom is to turn inward, to stop collecting bad experiences, and to begin the courageous work of dealing with the blocked energies at their source. This is not a path of suppression or uncontrolled expression, but of transmutation, of raising the lower energies to a higher level. This is the final and most crucial secret of the inner life, the key that unlocks the door to a state of being that is no longer conditional, but free. Chapter 36, Transmutation of the Energy. Suppression blocks inner energy. Unchanneled expression wastes its power. The highest use of the energy is transmutation, the very essence of spirituality. Currently, your natural energy flow is blocked by the samskaras in your lower energy centers. When the energy tries to release, you either push it back down or let it blow off steam externally, which solves nothing in the long run. What if, instead, you saw the rising energy as an opportunity to get rid of the blockage it's hitting? The energy will attempt to push the samskara out of the way, and if the blockage was stored with pain, it will come back up with pain. Instead of pushing it down or releasing it outside, you can relax and release at such a deep level that you allow the blockage to pass without resistance. This is transmutation, using the rising energy as a positive force to cleanse whatever was blocking it. This is the highest way to work with your inner energy. Use it to grow spiritually and let go of the blockages that cause suffering. These blockages create the discomfort, anxiety, and fear that drive people to seek distractions, creating more turmoil. Now you know there is a much higher way to live. If you are willing to release the blockages, over time the energy will find its way up, and you won't even be able to relate to how you used to be. Your relationships will no longer be about finding comfort for yourself, but will naturally be about love and serving others. This is what happens as the energy is free to rise within you. If you release the blockages, the energy will naturally rise higher. You don't have to fight it. The energy wants to go up. When you get the blockages out of the way, you will feel a steady upward flow of energy, a peace that passeth all understanding. Your natural state is so beautiful. You are whole and complete within yourself. If you are willing to work with the energies, Shakti will go higher and higher, moving as fountains of joy flowing out the higher energy centers. Your entire relationship with the world will transform. What you were trying to get from the outside will now naturally be going on inside. You will be filled with love and ecstasy, fed by a perpetual flow of energy from within. The transmutation of the inner energy flow is the answer to all the world's woes. If people felt whole and content inside, they wouldn't be fighting with each other. It is only because people are struggling inside that they are driven to struggle outside. There is something much higher within us, and it is our natural state. You're a beautiful, awe-inspiring being, but you can't reflect that beauty if you're trying not to drown. To stop struggling once and for all, work on letting go of the blockages. A spiritual being views life this way. I came down to the planet Earth for a short time, and these are the experiences I got to have. They were challenging, but I handled them and am better off because of them. You don't suppress your issues or allow them to become the foundation of your life. You only insist on understanding the events you can't comfortably handle. But it is better to accept reality first and then work with it constructively. You are the self, the conscious witness of all that passes before you. Nothing in there is more powerful than you. You have free will. Use it to accept what has already happened. Free yourself from these samskaras. Transmute your blocked energy flow into a powerful spiritual force. The culmination of our journey into the self is the realization that we hold the power to transform our suffering into liberation. The choice is not between suppression and expression, but a third, higher path, transmutation. By consciously relaxing and releasing in the face of our inner disturbances, we allow the very energy of our blockages to become the force of our purification. This is the secret to unlocking the higher states of consciousness, to moving from a life of struggle and dependency to one of inner wholeness and unconditional love. It is the ultimate act of self-creation, the final turning of the key that opens the door to a life in the perpetual flow of spirit, a life that is not just free from suffering, but is an expression of the divine beauty that is our natural state. Chapter 37, The Power of Intent. You are capable of letting go at a very deep level if you really want to. It is not a question of ability. It depends on the intensity of your intent. Inside, you have no physical limitations. You are pure consciousness, and your will has complete dominion over mind and emotions. The blockages you have stored are yours, and you can let them go anytime you want. The problem is that since they were stored with pain, they will release with pain. This is where commitment comes in. Do you want to be free more than you want to avoid discomfort? It comes down to the old adage, where there's a will, there's a way. What would you be willing to go through for a constant state of well-being and the ability to feel the presence of God flowing through you at all times? You have the ability. The question is whether you have the strength of intent to take this deep spiritual journey. Will is like a muscle. You build it by exercising it. Practice saying, I'm the boss in here. This is my house. I have the right to make it a nice place to live. This is not about becoming a control freak. It's about learning to surrender. Surrender is not weakness. It is handling anything that needs to be released inside and letting it pass through. It was you who willfully resisted past events, causing the samskaras to be stored. Now, you must learn to willfully relax and release as the blockages cleanse. If you practice this, you will not only live in an elevated inner state, but you will also become a blessing on the earth. If you stay with this process every day, you will get there. Always remember, it is Spirit's job to liberate you from yourself. Shakti wants to be free, but you're in the way. When Shakti starts to push the blockages up, your tendency will be to push them back down because it's not comfortable. If you are sincere, you use the situation for your growth. When a blockage gets hit, it's not the time to argue with the person who triggered it. It's the time to grow spiritually. Calm and centered, you inwardly ask, what's happening inside of me? Then you relax and allow the energy to push the blockage up. You don't have to do anything except not interfere. Shakti will do her job of pushing up. You have to do your job of letting go. To remember this, establish a practice of recalling your intention every morning and evening. The purpose of my day is letting go of my blockages and evolving spiritually. Surrender means don't use your inner hands to push the energy away or grab onto it. Just let it go. Your interaction with this energy is like breaking a habit. You will feel a magnetic pull to resume the old pattern. The same happens when a blockage gets hit. It has an attractive power that draws you in. That's not bad, that's good. Just relax more. Someday, you will observe this energy pulling on you, and you will realize you are struggling with yourself. Part of you wants to let go, and part still wants to give in. Once you sincerely want to let go, you will realize you have all the power you need inside. At that point, something amazing will happen. All the energy that was pulling you down and out will change direction and begin to lift you in and up. This is the transmutation of the energy. Once your center of intent is stronger than the habitual energy flows, you can sit quietly in the seat of consciousness and allow the process of purification to take place. Letting go like this is not a struggle. Imagine you are in a tug of war against an entire NFL football team. You're doing all the techniques to stand your ground, but they're not working. Suddenly, Yoda appears and says, "Let go, Luke." You're afraid you'll be pulled through the mud, but he insists. "How?" you ask. "Relax hands, Luke. Relax your hands." It's true. If you relax your hands, the struggle is immediately over. No more rope, no more pull. That is what it's like to surrender. The energy is pulling you into it. Don't fight it. Just relax your inner hands and let go. The blocked energy can't take you anywhere if you simply relax and let go. Over time, you will find there is a place inside you that is behind the commotion of the storm. This is the place from which you are noticing the inner commotion, and this place is still, quiet, and there are never any storms. That is the seat of self. You don't find your way back to self, you simply cease to leave. If you work on this, you will come to a beautiful state within that is always there for you. It is a place of refuge, and all you ever need to do is keep letting go. That is the life of surrender. Our journey through the inner world culminates in the realization that the power to be free lies not in our ability, but in our intent. The path of liberation is not a struggle against our inner demons, but a surrender to the natural, purifying flow of our own spiritual energy. By setting a clear and unwavering intention to let go, by practicing this release in every moment, we can transform the pain of the past into a force for our own evolution. The life of surrender is not one of passive resignation, but of active, conscious participation in our own awakening. It is the end of the struggle and the beginning of a life lived from a place of unshakable peace, a place we never truly left, but only forgot how to inhabit. Chapter 38, Exploring the Higher States. Once you are no longer drowning inside, a whole other life becomes possible. We can now discuss who you are and what it can be like in there. As the blockages release, the energy is freed from having to go around them. You start to feel happier, higher. You feel like you used to feel on a really good day, but this time, nothing special is happening. You're just feeling an uplifting energy that keeps getting higher. You feel love simply because the sky is blue. Everything that happens comes in at a richer, deeper level because you are more open and receptive. You don't have the needs and problems you were trying to solve. Because you're feeling more whole and complete, there's nothing you need from the outside. You used to make satisfying your psychological needs a priority, but psychological needs are actually unnatural. They indicate that something is missing or wrong. If you are feeling whole and complete inside, there are no psychological needs. They come from your blockages. When the energy is freed, what you feel is love, joy, and enthusiasm, just different words for this upward-flowing energy. In its purest sense, this freed Shakti is quite different from emotions. An emotion emanates out of your heart and pulls you into its vibration, whereas enthusiasm is a spontaneous, system-wide flow that wells up inside. When your energies are liberated, you don't need energy from anybody else. You have so much incomprehensible energy inside you. A temporary opening of a blockage, perhaps from a pleasant phone call, can release a sudden burst of this inner energy. The truth is, if the blockage had not been there in the first place, you would not have needed the phone call to open you. This is why you do the inner work of releasing blockages. As they release, the energy takes you to higher and higher states. These higher states are about love and enthusiasm for everything you do. Life is no longer about seeking non-negative states. It becomes about allowing ever-increasing positive states. Growth is no longer about not feeling anger. It's about feeling so much overwhelming love that you have trouble getting out of bed, and then such strong enthusiasm that it propels you through your day. Most people don't believe life can be like this. They feel they must find the perfect job to be enthused, defining it as the one that fits their blockages just right. But you are still letting your samskaras run your life. It's not a matter of finding the right job. It's a matter of releasing the blockages so you can be enthused about the job you have. No matter how high you can always get much higher. Don't believe those who say you can't enjoy happiness without sadness. That's what life is like when you are still blocked. Once you're unblocked, you will notice the energy is always beautiful, an ever-new rush of uplifting joy. You might wonder why you would be motivated to do anything if you're already so content. The answer is simple. Love wants to express itself, and enthusiasm wants to create. Your actions become an expression of love and gratitude, and your whole life becomes an act of service. Life becomes so simple once you are okay inside. You don't do things for their fruits. Each moment is whole and complete within itself. There is nothing more sacred than the spirit flowing inside you. Disturbances may come and go, but they don't affect your energy flow unless you let them. You will realize that this intelligent, beautiful energy inside you knows what it's doing. If you let it, it will fix everything. Your only job is to not interfere, to surrender. The energy flowing inside you is so beautiful that your consciousness is naturally attracted to it. You fall completely in love with the spiritual energy flow. You realize through direct experience that everything you ever wanted is flowing inside you, and the battle will pretty much be over. Attraction to this unconditional flow of inner energy is a wonderful love affair. You no longer have to worry about how to love God, as the commandment says. You naturally love what's flowing inside of you, which is spirit. It is the ultimate high, a river of love and joy that will never stop unless you dam it up. Once it starts spontaneously flowing, you won't touch it. You just respect it, honor it, and appreciate it. Your only prayer becomes, thank you so much. Now that this energy is flowing, it will clean up the rest of your blockages. Your entire life becomes spiritual. You rest into the beautiful flow of the energy, and it gives you the strength to let go of what needs to be cleansed. In this state of true contentment, you are not disturbed inside. What is going on inside you is so beautiful that you feel completely at peace. You are not looking for anything. You see what's there, not what you want or don't want to be there. The experience of the outside just comes in, passes through, and leaves you as it found you, in a state of ecstatic well-being. The spiritual journey culminates not in an escape from the world, but in a radical transformation of our experience of it. By releasing the blockages that have kept us trapped in a state of lack and need, we unlock a boundless source of inner energy that is our natural state. This is the ultimate freedom, to live a life motivated not by the pursuit of happiness, but by the expression of a joy that is already and always present within. It is to become a being of love, a vessel for the creative energy of the universe, and to find in every moment a reason to say, thank you. This is not a distant dream, but the potential that awaits when we finally stop struggling and allow ourselves to be carried by the upward flow of our own spirit. Chapter 39, In the World but Not of It. Once you have reached a deep level of inner clarity, you will notice that just because you are content with reality doesn't mean you don't interact with it. The world continues to appear before you, but there is nothing personal about it anymore. It is just the part of creation passing before you at that moment. Reality doesn't bother you because you don't need anything from it. It simply exists, and you simply exist, in perfect harmony. Every moment unfolding in front of you is there for you to serve. It can be as simple as appreciating it, or you may be able to raise the energy of the moment with a smile, a kind word, or a helping hand. Doing your job, taking care of your family, serving your community, These simple acts are just as much service to the universe as anything else. Imagine you're taking a walk and you see a piece of paper on the side of the road. You feel the disharmony and you pick it up. It's not a have to. You're simply an artist making the world more beautiful. Your mind doesn't complain or judge. You are simply a spontaneous being in harmony with life, expecting nothing back because your actions were not done for approval. The highest life you can live is when every single moment that passes before you is better off because it did. Serve the present moment with all your heart and soul. Start by raising what appears before you. If you can't even serve what is put in front of you, how are you going to change the world? If you are so upset about world conditions that you are edgy with everyone, you are not helping. If you can't create harmony in your own household, what right do you have to complain about nations at war? You have to live a life that if everyone lived it, there would be peace. It's all about letting go of yourself. The world will come in and hit what's left of your samskaras, and the reactive energy you feel is your inner blockages. Don't ever act based on that. A spiritual life is about never acting based on your personal energy. When the energy gets disturbed, just let it go. Simply ask yourself, is there something I can be doing to serve the moment in front of me? Once you learn to let go of the reactionary noise of personal thoughts and emotions, things will become clear. You will know how to work with the situation in front of you. What matters is not what you do, but where you're coming from. If your motive is pure and impersonal, to let go of yourself and serve the moment, you can't do wrong. Be sure your motive is pure, then don't look back. If someone criticizes you, apologize and let go. If you come from the highest place you can, there's no guilt, no shame. If something terrible comes back from the best you can do, own it and let it teach you. Practice letting go, and eventually you will find yourself in a seat of awareness that can't be disturbed. There will always be a beautiful energy feeding you. At that point, there are no more techniques, no more teachings. It all happens naturally. Intuitively, it will dawn on you that this beautiful energy flow must be coming from a source. You are now ready for the next stage of your journey home. You begin to seek the source. The mind cannot help you on this journey. Only one thing can seek the source of the energy flow, your consciousness. To seek the source of a spring, you swim toward the flow. It is the same with the Shakti flow. Your consciousness feels the flow and melts into it. This becomes your entire spiritual practice. This is real surrender. Heretofore, you have practiced surrender by letting go of your lower self. Now, you surrender to the higher energy flow inside. Until this final surrender, there is still a subject-object experience. To truly know the flow, you must become one with it. As you let go, the flow will pull you in. This is where the great masters went. Meher Baba described it as a drop of water falling into the ocean. Christ said, "I and my Father are one." When you cease to separate your sense of self from this flow, you become one with it. Yogananda called it a river of joy. Your path is to find it, go there, get in and drown. Everyone is capable of achieving this highest state. Remember how we got here, by letting go of the blockages. The higher states are totally natural, but you shouldn't seek them. Get unblocked, and the deeper meditations will come naturally. You will become a being of Shakti, and she will take you into ecstasy over and over again. There is nothing more beautiful or fulfilling than the Shakti flow. If something happens and you feel the part of you that wants to close down, don't touch it. Let it go first. Then deal with the outside. Start with the low-hanging fruit and progress to letting go of your past. Once you learn how to let go of self-generated disturbances, it will be natural for you to let go during more challenging times. Just do the inner work, and the energy will start flowing. No matter how deep you have gone, do not say you're enlightened. Just be content. Don't build a spiritual ego. Spirituality is about perpetually letting go of yourself completely. If you never stop doing this, the energy will take over. Where you used to see your personal self, you will now see nothing but the flow of Shakti. Surrender to the flow, give your life to it, merge into it, and it will take you the rest of the way. That is the final surrender. Do this work. It's not about renunciation, but about truly experiencing life at the deepest level. If you let go of yourself on a daily basis, you will find what is greater than yourself. Where you're not, God is. Now, do you understand why Christ said the kingdom is within you? It is the very essence of your being. Your heights are incomprehensible. The fact that you are even interested in these teachings means you've changed the world. You who do the work of liberating yourself are to be deeply respected. The culmination of the spiritual journey is not an escape from the world, but a radical transformation of our engagement with it. By letting go of the personal self, we become instruments of a higher purpose, serving the moment in perfect harmony with the flow of life. This path of surrender leads us from the turbulent ocean of our personal reactions to the boundless river of joy that is our true nature. The final destination is not a place, but a state of being, a merging with the source, a union with the divine. This is the life of being in the world, but not of it, a life of complete freedom, lived in the constant, ecstatic flow of the Spirit.